Yo Shinobi fam, welcome back to Just a Shinobi. Today, we're diving into one of the wildest what-ifs. What if neglected Naruto grow under Master Roshi? It's gonna be intense. This is part 2, so buckle up for some serious action and twists. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button for more mind-blowing Naruto scenarios. Check out the other videos on the channel, share them with your ninja squad, and don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps this shinobi going strong. Naruto had decided that rather than flying, he'd run the distance. His legs could use the marathon work over changing terrain, plus it'd count as the scenic route since he'd flown there every other time. Stretching, he hardly noticed his training harness anymore. 5 months of brutally intense way of the turtle training and conditioning saw him adapt to the constant consistent strain the harness enforced on his body. Having long forgotten that the harness, for as strong as he got, the harness would restrain and resist him that much more to stay constant, so the force he put him always keep increasing without his knowing. Taking off at a light jog first, the whiskered blonde started really taking off, arms moving back and forth as he got into a run, until he fell into a shinobi's run, arms back behind him, forward lean embarrassed of contact with the balls of his feet to the ground, ankles locked at a 90 to push off the ground like oars through water. The run was fast, he was creating a backwind of pressure that followed after him, and it was gaining force as he kept up his run, ignoring the challenge of obstacles by making slight twists, small turns or jumps, running over water or diving off a cliff to get to the bottom before returning to his run. He was an orange and blue trimmed blur as he raced across the land. He could see Korin's tower coming into view and started to slow. He came to a complete stop at the base, where after a moment the backwind caught up and blew over the area, rustling the trees and a campsite. Looking over to the left, he saw a tent of some kind, he didn't know, but a man and a boy a bit older than, though of same height and build even came out. The man and boy both had very dark skin, but from time spent in the sun, the man had various scars, wore a type of clothing he suspected was from animal hide, and held decorative markings that, while he didn't know the meaning for, were significant enough for the man to wear. The boy was much the same, but clean of scars and fewing marks, but similar clothes. That Gi. You must be friends with Goku, or at least trained with the same master. The man spoke first, and the boy seemed to smile excitedly. That's right on both actually. I just recently finished my training with Master Roshi after Goku helped me and asked Roshi to train me. My name's is Naruto Uzumaki. He introduced himself with a small bow. I see, good to see the man is helping others out still. My name is Bora, and this is Upa, my son. Years ago he helped us out, and we tried to help him in return. Though I assume if you are here, it is to climb Korin's tower, correct? He asked, getting a nod in return. Good, many have come 5 months ago to do the same, mentioned another would follow. They told me what has happened and I am sorry to hear of his death, but to know he is training even in death, to return stronger, well, I expected nothing less. The man said. Naruto looked to the man, wondering, he could sense some power from him and his son, but it wasn't strong. I take it since you are camped at the base, you watch for those who come to the tower, right? He asked. Curious of the man and son. That's right. This is the sacred lands of Korin. Our tribe works to protect this land from those that do it harm and seek to live here peacefully. Korin has been kind to us since we also protect his tower's base. I wish you well as you climb and hope to see you again, and if you see Goku, please ask him to visit, it has been some years since we've seen him. He asked, and Naruto smiled, nodding, sure will. Take care of yourselves, I'll come down again to see you too. He waved before looking to the tower. It'd be a mighty climb, he could do it with tree walking, however that would be harder, though he figured that's how they climbed it. So he got started, one hand and foot movement at a time on his way up, careful of the grapple points, using his fingers that he dug up fields with, to find the smallest hold to hoist himself up with. It really was a mighty climb. But many, many hours later, he finished the tower climb, dragging himself up into the top of the tower. He laid out on the floor, breathing quite hard, never having to recall a time he used so much strength and injury in so few parts or small an area of his body as his fingertips and toes to climb. So out of it he didn't notice a figure by his side until something had dropped into his mouth and on reflex to clear it, swallowed the small object. The rush of power and energy he felt moments later told him it was a senzu bean. Looking over, he saw a little white cat with a staff, nodding as he looked to Naruto. I've been expecting you, Naruto. Kami told me of you, said you'd be going through basic training first before you came to me. He spoke, as Naruto sat up, looking at the clearly confused, but slightly panicked. What's wrong, boy? Nothing, sir, just ugh. Looking for a little pink bow on your ear. He said hesitantly. It's an old memory from when I first graduated the academy, training mission to capture a runaway cat that's learned to be elusive, strong, and vindictive, Enough to eat throwing knives and stars and spit them back at you, he commented, and the at's eyebrows rose. Damn. Quite a cat. Mind introducing us sometime? He asked, getting Naruto to choke on air before he laughed. Sorry, couldn't resist. Now seriously though. I'm willing to bet Cammy didn't explain why you came up here, did he? He asked, getting a shake of the head. I thought as much. Well, up here I grow the senzu beans, and am keeper of the divine water. A water that's said to unlock hidden potential and gift the drinker with power. To those who reach the top, you're allowed access to my supply of senzu beans as needed. However, if you want the divine water, you'll have to catch me first. Get the picture? He asked. He leapt to the SD as Naruto appeared there, hands grasping at air where the bottle on his staff used to be prior. You're a quick study kid. Well, let's see how quick you are. Goku completed this in 3 days when he is just a little older than you. I wonder how long it'll take you. He asked with a smile as he avoided another swipe and grab. He retained his smile as he went about his own amusing game, thoroughly entertained as Naruto started pulling out all the stops, using all the speed, strength, jutsu and tricks he could to get close, even tried shunshin and replacement, only to replace with a pickling jar and smack into the pedestal when he shunshined. Korin wouldn't admit, but the boy using different tricks and techniques was keeping him on his toes, and when he started using clones and combinations, he really had to work to keep the bottle away. And Cammy told him the kid was wearing a training harness that kept him at a consistent but gradual level of power and growth with it on. Eventually Korin called the first day a stop, and both ate a senzu. Korin, how long did it take the others GT the water? He asked, sitting as he looked out toward the horizon while he sat against the railing. The air was thinner, so he had to work on maintaining his breathing. Those goofballs. It took them a month, with working together to get it. He said offhandedly. That master of yours, Roshi, when he was boy several centuries ago, it took him 3 years to do it. The fact Goku did it in 3 days is nothing short of miraculous. But I guess since you've heard all this, you know it's not necessarily a matter of power or speed, right? He asked and got a nod. Good, now since you failed this day, you're to climb down, eat and rest with the guardians at the base, then climb back up while using that wall walking technique you use. Get to it, boy. He mouthed off, walking through a door, leaving a gaping Naruto who was battled but grumbled, starting to climb down. In the room, Korin allowed himself to huff and puff, with some sweating. Damn, the kid is creative. He might just overcome the lesson if he uses all those tricks at once. Need to bring up my game so he actually learns the lesson he needs to. He muttered to himself as set to work on a bit of self-training he'd been neglecting for a couple of decades. He really shouldn't let himself get out of shape like this. The climb down, meal, rest, meal and climb up would buy Korin the time to rest and do what he needs to do to handle Naruto the next time. Climbing down was a right pain in the ass, but he stayed with it, and it was both easier and harder this time. Easier because he knew exactly what to do, harder because he had to figure out a few new things involved with climbing down. But it took most of the night, and later into the day when he finally got down to the ground. After explaining Korin's orders, they were more than welcome him to a meal. However, Naruto offered to hunt, and has handed a spear tied with rope at the end to do so. And rather than insult their ways, he took it and went into the forest. He was gone for an hour, when he returned back with a small male hog, which they cleaned and made a good dinner out of. Bora showed him how to shape the tusks as something he could wear or use to honor his first hunt in their forests, and after some thought, shaped out a small bone knife out of the almost curved tusk, the edge on the inside and point on the half of the tusk, the other end wrapped in natural cord. While his kunai were about as sharp but much tougher, this felt special, so he gave it its own storage seal tattoo. After that they slept, and with breakfast of the leftovers next morning, he set up to climb again, this time tree walking, or tower running in this case. The progress was faster, but harder considering he'd be running straight vertical for half the day. Getting to the top and cursing the name that is Korin, he opened his mouth to do just that, using the railing for support, but found a bean shot into his mouth already and chewed with a grumble. Let's see what you got, boy, he snickered, and the process started over again, of this damn reverse cat and mouse that was infuriating, pulling everything he had, but still couldn't get that damn jug. Halfway through he abandoned his tricks and focused on pure physical chase as he chased after the cat. Even Tora wasn't this bad. The long day came to a close and Korin hummed. Closer, by a few centimeters. May you get it in a year. For now, walk down the tower, at a casual walk, and climb without your chakra the next day, again, after eating and resting. He stated, giving him a senzu for the trip down, before he left him again. The process repeated. This time he went fishing using the same spear, in and out of water, waiting for the fish to swim where he wanted, or for it to jump, this time as Bora instructed, seeing this as a chance to teach someone of Korin's worth their tribe's hunting methods. Once he had enough fish, he used that boar tusk knife to clean and gut the fish, but at Bora's insistence, made a spear with a stone blade and rope of his own for future hunting endeavors. Teasing him that at his rate, he would have a lot of time to practice his hunting. He grumbled, but couldn't help but join in the father-son laughter, if even at his expense. Again the next day, he climbed the tower, but was far too focused on the cat to realize his ease of the climb. Once he was up at the top, Korin was again waiting, but seeing his mildly exhausted state, handed the bean over this time before they started. Naruto started with a pure physical chase. Until half the day, he pulled out his techniques and tricks, developing new combos and tactics to get closer, using his clones to help in the learning curve. Korin said it wasn't a might or technique thing. While he understood that, he didn't understand what the missing part was that made this possible. After he failed that day, he was told to create a number of clones to walk down the tower with him, each of them doing those leaf exercises, a lot of them to each clone. That H might as well try and get in some controlled training while he's at it, then to climb up normally. The walk was casual, and he dispersed his clones as he reached the bottom. Again a hunt, this time, a deer. Following the teachings he was given this night, he stalked his prey like a predator, getting as close as he could until while silent, and could only make his kill when he could reach out with the spear to barely touch it. It took a few hours, but he did just that, and they ate good. The rest of the meat was spiced and smoked. Climbing the tower was a quick process now, only about 2 hours, and once up, he ate the senzu really only to be in top condition as they went again. "Come here, you mangy cat!" he shouted, having already used all of his tricks this day, and as on the physical chase. Never realizing the increase in the intensity of the chase. That it until he anticipated his next movement, and lunged with a reaching grab, snaring the jug away from Korin's staff. "Ha! Got it!" he hollered. He was huffing but happy, and he noticed Korin was huffing too. "Good job, kid, now drink your reward." He sighed and Naruto did just that, guzzling down the entire jug. Korin just gave the smile like a him ate the canary. Narrowing his eyes, he tried to feel the power but... "So how's that tap water taste?" Korin asked with the same grin, and Naruto realized the trick, or rather the brilliance of the beneficial prank. "Oh, you sneaky little cat," he called out, and Korin just nodded. "That's right, the power comes from the training and the continuous up and down climbing of the tower and the chase. Conditioning from both and learning to read the movements of a superior opponent. Granted, you pushed me and I had to up the game to account for your bag of tricks, but you got it fair and square. Now, why don't you go and have a final hunt and meal with Bora and Upa? I believe they've come to like spending time with you," he said, and Naruto smiled. Taking a senzu, he made his way down the tower, and Korin just sighed. Kids these days. Goku gets it in 3 chase days, Naruto gets it in 5, and those other ones took a week and a half. Just what the hell is up? I miss the days when it'd take years for a student to get the jug, he voiced out. Guess that mean I've been really slacking. Time for me to get some training in of my own, he finished. Down on the ground, Naruto talked of his success, and the two congratulated him. "Naruto, I would like to propose a feast. It's NT every day one passes Korin's test, much less comes down to share it with us to enjoy on it. I would like for you to hunt with us for a proper beast to feed the village for this feast. Will you come?" he asked, and Naruto nodded. "Of course, Bora. But what are we hunting?" he asked, as they walked deeper into the woods, the 3 of them already carrying their spears. "One F the dinos out beyond the trees. Hunting in our methods won't be easy, but it'll feed us and honor the hunt and beast," he stat, as they walked deeper in before the trees began to thin out. They stalked the barren lands outside of the first, looking for an appropriate dino, and spotted a mature triceratops. Bora gave a nod, and directed with his hands to circle around and pincer it in. They were careful to be quiet. Before they got in closer, he and Upa came in from the sides, and then Bora made his move with a leap, threw his spear from above behind the armored head at the neck. Upa and Naruto made their own throws right where the heart should be. Between the 3 spears, the kill was quick and relatively painless as the next spear severed the spine. Recovering their spears, the 3 hauled the dino away, though Naruto took over to fly it back to the camp, where the village had gathered and everyone cheered seeing the dino brought it. "A fine hunt, Naruto. Now take a rest while we clean and cook the best. It will take some time and you'll need it for the party to come." He spoke, and Naruto followed his order, a bit tired from day's events. Laying down in the tepee, he allowed sleep to come over him, having striped out of his GI. It needed to be washed anyway. When he awoke, he looked around and saw the sun was still out, only a few hours. But he noticed immediately his GI was gone. In its place was a set of pants and moccasins identical to Bora's and Yuba's, but no shirt. The pants and cloth for the front and back were odd, but the cloth was orange and black, so he didn't mind. Getting dressed, he pulling the band around his arms as well, he stretched a moment before heading out. Ah, Naruto, you are awake, good. We were about to wake you, the feast is almost done. The others of the tribe have brought other dishes and drink. Please help yourself and talk with the others. We don't often have this feast, so it's a good to get together and have fun when we can. Bora spoke over fire, a large fire with many spits and spikes of cut meat roasting over the heat. Various other tipis were set up, there was jaws of drink and, as stated, a lot of people, all dressed the same as he was now. The others were curious of him, but Upa came along and started introducing him to others and vice versa. It was short order that he found a cup with drink, right in his hand, and it was sweet. He guessed it was a wine made from local berries, so he drank earnestly. It didn't burn. Mindscape. QB! Yami shouted, running into the Nine-Tails chamber. By all that is amusing to both of us, do not deal with what he is drinking. Let the bastard get flat out piss-wasted. This is gonna be too damn entertaining to pass up, Yami shouted to the fox, before he took a seat to watch with the fox, who was now paying attention since Yami got him to actually watch now. Seeing the setting and all, the fox roared with laughter. Oh, you're going to burn this memory into the core of his mind, aren't you? The fox asked, laughing with honest amusement at what he knew was about to happen. Naruto had no experience to tell him what to and not to do in this situation. You better fucking believe it, he said, reviving the old verbal tick just for ironic emphasis. The fox laughed, and they both settled in for the show to happen. Reality. My people, I bid you all welcome to a feast we've not had in some time, and the ability to gather in peace and festivity. Harsh times are ahead, but all the more reason to have moments like these to remember and drive us forward. So tonight we enjoy ourselves. I would like to introduce young Naruto here. He has been training with Korin and hunting with my son and I, learning the spear method as we use. This Dino he helped us to take down our way, and brought it back for this feast tonight. Treat him well and help him have fun before he must continue with his training atop the tower. The meat is cooked, the drink is cold, and we are hungry, thirsty and excited. So to you my people, enjoy yourselves. He spoke with a commanding voice, getting them all to cheer, and the party really kicked in. The wine was going down smooth and making him feel great. Tower top. Well, this out to be interesting to watch. First time one of my students has done this. It'll give me a story to tell. Korin spoke, before looking up. Kami, might want to stop the kid if you don't want this to happen. He spoke, but looked back down. Sanctuary, no need, this will be an experience for the boy to remember, maybe even cherish. If it becomes a mistake, he'll learn from it, though I doubt it will be. He mused, and waved a finger to cast an illusion over the boy's harness to keep it out of sight. He was in for a night to remember after all. What's up, Kami? One of the Z-fighters asked. Oh, nothing, just a youngster pulling ahead in life past you all. That's all. He snickered at the small joke, while some of them just shook their heads, though a bit embarrassed. They were how old now? Based the next morning, Naruto groaned slightly as a hand came up to his head. Blinking his eyes, he looked around. The hell? He didn't remember much of. No, wait, there it was, coming back to him. After they started eating and drinking, they had a grand old time. The night went on, telling stories, everyone laughing. Then there was this girl who grabbed onto his arm and gently led him away, and he blinked and looked to his side, where said girl, or woman rather, was laying beside him, and it all came back to him in perfect detail. Eyes widening, he wanted to panic, but the logical side of his brain said not to disturb her, and if she didn't want this, as he wouldn't have brought him into the tent. Laying back down, she nestled into his side, and as foreign as all this was, he couldn't help but smile. Not a smug smile or victorious, but a genuine happy smile. He had expected that, but he certainly wasn't going to deny that it wasn't fun or enjoyable, for any of the many rounds they went at it. She certainly seemed content and glowing. Naruto thought of what the contact meant, and how much being this close to her, a woman in general, meant. Running a hand over his cheek, her eyes fluttered open, seeing him, and smiled, before leaning in and taking a light kiss of his lips. It was a small gentle thing, and quick. But he savored that chaste kiss. On the inside he was in a panic, good and bad, but that took a back seat to an instinct he sure didn't know he had as he pulled her in closer. Man, this is a tall tower. A rough female voice spoke up, getting both their attentions. Well, maybe there's something to climb it in one of these teepees. She spoke to herself, but before they could even get dressed, the flap to the one he was in as opened, and of all people, Blonde Launch looked in. Oh well, would you look at that, Whiskers here got himself a girl. Ha! Way sooner than Baldy or Mophead, that's for sure. Hey, when you're done, come out here, I want to talk to you. She called out, closing the flap, leaving a red-faced Naruto and Karin woman dumbfounded, before he face-palmed and she buried her face into his chest. That was embarrassing. And a mood killer. Just how, of all places to show up, why here and now? Oh. He stopped, reminding himself of her apparent obsession with Tien. Sighing, he calmed and logic took over. The woman had already gotten up, and was getting dressed, much to his viewing pleasure. He smiled and she returned it. That was a wonderful night. Take care of yourself, Naruto, train hard and fight well for us, she said before leaving the teepee. Naruto just sat there a time longer before he sighed and stood up. Damn, too drunk last night to get her name. He spoke to himself, swearing he could hear laughter in his head. But it was silent the next and sighed as he got dressed in his GI, but kept the armbands on his biceps. Stretching, it was odd to feel like a weight had been shed off his body. In a way he felt lighter, confident and dare he say, even stronger. Stepping out of the teepee, Bora and Upa were standing beside Launch, who smiled at him when he stepped outside. Hey Whiskers, congrats on becoming a man. She spoke with utter care, and Naruto's face faltered, much to Bora's amusement, as well as several other men and women that were up. Indeed. A good night and one to commit to memory as something to keep fondly. He spoke, and Naruto nodded his head once he picked himself up off the ground. I would like to welcome you as an honorary member of the tribe. You may be foreign as you've told us before, but you are willing to fight for us, hunt with us, and share time and life with us. For this, I would like to welcome you in. He stated, and Naruto's eyes beamed. Why yes. I thank you, Bora. He spoke, bowing his head ever so slightly. His smile was radiant, and his beamed with energy. For more than one reason Bora, I'd hate to ask but I was drinking at that woman. He asked, trailing off. It is not the time of the year for such things to happen, Naruto. Do not worry, we have medicines to prevent such things. He stated, easing the boy's worry. Well, not having one wasn't so much my concern. As panic as I would be happy. But I didn't even know her name, and if it had happened, I would like to have been there. For everything, he said, pulling heavily from his education with Bulma to his time with Yami and to his own morals. What would his reaction have been without the first two? Sheer headless chicken panic. Sounded about right. Bora smiled and put a hand on Naruto's shoulder. You will make a great father one day, boy. However, her name is hers to tell. Perhaps if you were to come by more often, you may learn it. For now, I think your friend here wishes to speak with you. Take care, Naruto, train hard, fight harder, he stated, leaving Naruto with Launch. Naruto sighed, his first time and he doesn't even know her name, even after all that. Well damn Whiskers, you got some kind of great honor and got off scot-free from a almost bomb in your ace but GT a great night out of it. Though I like your conviction, kid. Now, do you know how to get up this damn thing? I know Tien is up there, I just need to get up there. She spoke rough as usual, but her shit-eating grin on what he did never left her face. Well, you climb it? The hard way. There isn't really much other way to do it. Although, he spoke, looking up to the tower. How long do you think you can hold on to something? He said, getting an idea. Yamcha was a pansy. Krillin apparently had bad luck in the area, but what about Tien? He wanted to see this. For Tien? As long as I need to. She eyed and he smirked. Best hang on tight then, he commented before grabbing her up and setting her arms around his shoulders and neck, before he started climbing at speed. Sure, her weight made it harder, but she didn't weigh that much. He climbed higher and higher. At first she hollered until she realized what he was doing with her, and used her legs to secure onto his waist and her arms around his shoulders and neck, securely now. The climb was about an hour long, and when he got up, he breathed, looking to find Korin waiting for them. So decided you needed a little challenge, eh? He said, looking to the blonde on his back who got down. You could say that, not mad are you? He asked. Did I ever say it wasn't allowed? Cammy on the other hand? Well, you'll have to see. Here, a bag of senzus for your training at the top. Follow the stairs and climb the re-pole. He told them and Naruto bowed, pulling Launch along after him. He tossed her a bean to eat to keep her strength, and he did the same, following the same equation as before. However, the pole was smaller and hard to grip, and with Launch on his back, his balance was screwed, so he had to use only his hands. Adhering to the pole with chakra, one hand over the other saw him steadily rising by arm strength alone. The air got progressively thinner, but it was gradual, enough to adapt, so that as they got higher, it wasn't so big a strain. Part of the way, he activated his scouter, calling up Bulma on their frequencies. Hey Bulma, how you doing? He asked, the earpiece coming through clearly. Damn good reception. We're hunting down the next ball, got 4 so far. You? She asked, sounding quite chipper. Oh. Just hanging around, he said, and Launch laughed, getting Bulma's attention. Naruto, who's that? She asked. Launch. She's on my back while I climb so she can see Tien. I couldn't resist the temptation of the uniting such a good couple. He spoke with a teasing grin that could be heard in his voice. Bulma herself laughed. Launch tapped the headset, getting it on speaker. And that ain't all blue, Kid here popped his cherry with a tribe girl after a big old party and drinking the local brew. Hey, you and Yamcha got that far yet? She asked. He could hear Bulma splutter, his blush a hard red, but she stayed silent. So that's a no then. Damn, wouldn't you figure you'd have done it already or something? Launch asked, and Bulma coughed out something. Sorry, what's that? She asked. The first wasn't with Yamcha. A simple statement, but so much weight. Oh, you mean you got yourself some during one of your on-again off-again things? What about Yamcha? You know if he has. Please, that man doesn't have the sense to either keep his mouth shut or put it to important work to get him any. Wouldn't surprise me if he still was a virgin. Bulma shouted, now clearly having forgotten Naruto was even here as they went on into full girl talk mode. Even Launch was ignoring the fact she was latched onto him. He, on the other hand, just listened and tried to not laugh or lose his grip. They were having girl talk on his scouter in his ear on speaker, but right now he didn't care. This was information from behind enemy lines right in the enemy camp. So to speak. Stuff to be noted down in the girl Bible note sections for later contemplation. The two went on and on. Naruto committed the things to memory before he saw the sanctuary coming into view. Ha! So the mop head really did that, and with his setup. And no one had a camera? That would have been blackmail gold. Launch shouted a bit, clearly enjoying herself. Oh, I know, I use that for when I need his attention or other things. Course, keep it to yourself, I don't want to lose my ammo. She spoke, her voice calmer. Ladies, he said, and he felt Launch tense and Bulma's laughter go silent. I know you forgot I was here, and that okay, I forgive you, even on my own scouter. But we're almost there, so the conversation will have to be cut short unless you want the focus of what you were going on about to hear you. Want to preserve your ammo, right? He asked, and he heard sheepish laughter from both of them. I'll talk to you later, Bulma, alright? I look forward to it, and next time I want to hear the details of this tribe girl you were with, drunk or not. Later, Naruto. She called out, ending the call. He clicked the earpiece and it receded behind his ear and into his hairline, out of sight. Enjoy your talk? He asked his blonde rider, who grinned shamefully. Sorry about that, don't be. I learned a few things of what to and not to do. I was never taught the finer points of using a tongue, but now I have a better idea, so thanks. He said with a teasing grin as he looked over his shoulder at her, as she blushed heavily. Transferring from pole to ladder, he climbed up the side and finally, onto the flat of the sanctuary. Good to be back, he said, helping Launch off, who stretched after many hours of hanging onto him. They spotted the object of her affection, Tien. And suddenly a blonde missile took the Triclops down to the floor. Everyone watching was at first shocked on how she got up here, then to see a madly grinning Naruto and figured it out. Then realized what that meant. Wait, you came all the way up here carrying? Krillin asked, astounded. Yeah, wasn't that hard, he said with a shrug as he got several disbelieving looks. Looking to each of them, he nodded. All of you have gotten a lot stronger, he commented, not a question, but a fact. He could feel it. So have you, though it feels not like a quantity, but a quality, Krillin said, rubbing his bald head. Right you are. Naruto has indeed gotten stronger, different from the rest of you. He's caught up on everything he needs and gotten the boost expected, he stated. Though I have to ask, why did you bring her here? He asked of the blonde boy, who cocked an eyebrow. Like you weren't spying on me last night? He questioned, and then, the silence was damning. You were spying on me last night, he shouted, but Kami held up his hand. Only the party, not the privacy you shared, he said, and then the others connected the dots. No, wait, hold up. That was you last night, Naruto? When Kami said you was getting ahead in life. I mean, how? There was only the father-son. Yamcha started. Yamcha, my opinion of you hinges on your next words, and right now that seems to carry some weight with Bulma, he stated, and the man shut up. Oh, he shagged all right. Big damn gathering of them tribe, walked right into the teepee him and that tribe girl was sharing for the night. They were real close and very. Well, the furs were on the floor, she said with a Cheshire grin that split her face, making the guys gape. Naruto sighed. Great. His personal life and first time broadcasted to the strongest people or group of the world at the top of TH world that was considered a holy place. Whoever whiskers here marries will be very happy. About as happy as Baldy's wife if he ever gets one, she said snickering as Krillin face-palmed. How? Yamcha asked. Launch lived with Goku, Roshi and me when we were training. Accidents happened, he said, trying to drop the subject. Enough, Kami stated, and everyone calmed. Launch stayed by Tien's side, and Chiatsu was snickering to himself. You're all here for training, and as happy a distraction as this was, it's time to continue. Naruto, you know the facilities, and that you need to adjust, so start with your warm-ups and conditioning menu. Everyone else, return to your menus as well. Miss Launch, if I may see you. He spoke, but it wasn't a question. She left with the green in, slightly apprehensive and casting concerned looks to Tien, as if asking for help. Tien sighed, following after. Naruto smirked and looked to Krillin, who had an eyebrow quirked. You wanted things like to happen, didn't you? He asked the whiskered teen. If I did, would you believe me if I said I'd help you out next? In exchange for silence and help with the others when it comes. He stated, and Krillin immediately bowed to Naruto. That's a yes then. Well, once we deal with the Saiyans, or maybe a bit before if we got time, we can work on that. For now, time to work, he said, and started in on his personal menu. This time, training at the top was easier and harder. Easier because he'd been up here before and was able to adjust slowly via Korin's and climbing up here. Harder because this was the first true conditioning he did while up here, where the air was as thin as it could get before you passed out. He had to learn how to regulate his breathing and use every breath as efficiently as possible, while he had clones working on control exercises and ki and magic manipulation control. It was good to revisit the basics. His clones went through every technique in the thin air, pure air. His body was responding well to the atmosphere while under the extreme training as he went through the supreme number of calisthenics, 10k reps each, plus stretches to ensure full flexibility. Flexibility that might make the normal man question his ability to reproduce. But thanks to the fact that he wasn't as bulked as say Tien, or Goku, he had higher degree ranges of motion and mobility. A few weeks by when he got his conditioning up to par for the environment he was in, his clones doing self-sparring, technique work, energy control exercises, R&D, and sparring with the others, offering them the use of hundreds of disposable clones for them to test their techniques out on. They taught some of his clones new techniques, like the solar flare, or adding on to his martial arts with some traits of theirs. How to better protect his mind and develop his mental abilities to maybe one day gain psychic abilities similar to Chiatsu, though he's not holding his breath on that one. He managed to convince Yajirobe to teach him the basics of swordsmanship, and while a challenge, he got the essentials down through the use of clones, but he acknowledged that the rotund man was still way more skilled than him. These and a few others helped to round out his arsenal. He joined the other in training in the various chambers of the sanctuary, where he was able to test all that he learned and put it to good use. He still summoned occasionally, but there wasn't much they could actually train him in. He had already developed, simplified and gained direct control of a number of techniques that rendered their variations useless, and not to mention that his elemental control made elemental jutsu useless for him as well. So he kept working on his base understanding of seals, learning anatomy to better heal, and really just talking with his mom and Jiraiya, as well as Fukasaku. Training continued at this pace. Naruto spammed the hell out of his clones to learn and gain as much as he could. Tien and Launch were actually getting along pretty good now. If she hadn't have followed him to the sanctuary, they might not have gotten together. It was much to Krillin's and Yamcha's ire. While Naruto whistled innocently, and Chiatsu just snickered. Naruto would keep calling Bulma. Other times he just visit Bora and Upa, timing himself to and from the sanctuary to the ground. Naruto was doing good to help keep the others motivated, and Launch busy away from Tien as needed. Hell, even Yajirobe was putting in the effort. However, as he kept training he noticed something off. Kami pointed out he was starting to plateau. That wasn't good. He'd gotten stronger, yes, but this couldn't be it. He kept at it, and worked his damnedest to get even that little bit further stronger, enforcing heavier handicaps, wearing a mask to hinder his breathing, whatever he could he did. Even Kami didn't seem to know what the problem was, though by comparison, he wasn't weak in the slightest. Kami theorized it was a block, a limitation, since this wasn't his natural way of drawing power or become stronger. The changes he's made to his body is resisting. So he'll have to find some way to break that limitation. There's not much else that can be done for you, Naruto. This is the limit for now, and the other facilities of the sanctuary are too harsh for your or others to use. For now, though, you have 2 months left before the Saiyans' arrival. Perhaps it's better to train at your full ability on ground level, to edge out and know what you stand. Visit your friends, go train with Piccolo and Gohan. I'm sure they might appreciate the extra body. So for now, until you can surpass this block, your training is completed. Truthfully, you have everything the others have. Everyone was just building up your power base now, to get faster, stronger, and generally better. But seeing as you are unique, you may require other methods. So take care, Naruto. I hope you overcome this block. He stated, waving his hat. Naruto suddenly felt the weight of the world brush off his body, like he could breathe for the first time, and in an explosion of power, blasted away the energy he'd been constantly circulating to keep up under the physical strain of his own body and the weight. He roared, as he felt the energy return, fill him up to every vestige, and muscles brimmed with power. A few moments later he calmed, as his power settled, and breathed. Incredible. Tien spoke, looking on with the others. Initially they'd been very concerned since Naruto's training didn't seem to be progressing, then somehow halting. They couldn't understand it. Energy-wise he was stronger, had been since Raditz first showed up and still was. But seeing the result of the weight-free Naruto, all that pressure suddenly being released, it almost blew the concern away. Almost, because once his power settled, while higher than before, it wasn't that massive an increase. However, the quality was worth mentioning, and with all the refining training he'd been doing to get his total arsenal of techniques up to par, even taking on skills he may not use, he still pushed himself. But now this gave them all something to shoot for in the last 2 months. So after Naruto left, they requested weight harnesses themselves. Naruto had sighed when he stretched and really got a feel for his natural unencumbered body again. Perhaps he should go down and train at his hardest at his full strength, no limits, full battle conditions. That might be just what he needed. So dropping down, he flew off from the lookout in search of a wasteland that he could rampage without causing trouble. He spent the next week just going full out, nothing held back, using it as a chance to really work out some very old aggressions too and try to settle his mind. Attempts to contact Yami or Kyubi failed again, and talking with Mom, Jiraiya, or Fukasaku didn't reveal much. With a high sigh, he set out to find Piccolo and Gohan. The two were hard to find, even with sensing, but he eventually came upon them. He watched from a distance as they trained. Piccolo was going in at full contact, not even holding back but the barest sliver to not kill him, which was different than he trained with the others who held back a fair amount to not do permanent injury. Here that wasn't the concern. He waited till they finished their round to approach. What do you want, Blondie? Piccolo spoke, and Naruto's eyes twitched. Training. I've plateaued and need to break past it. He spoke, arms crossed, wearing the full turtle hermit gi, carrying armbands, Konoha forehead protector as a belt, everything that meant something to him in his recent time here. Kami's training not good enough? The green man spoke, amused. Went through it all, Roshi, the tower, Korin, climbing to the sanctuary with a passenger on my back, training up there as harsh as I possibly can. Then back down here with no limits to get used to my power. But you sense that no doubt, haven't you? He asked, and Piccolo just rolled his eyes. And what does that mean to me? He asked the whiskered teen. Your training is right there at the limit. If your training can't break this, then no training will. Not without something drastic or suicidal, he stated, making the slug man consider that a moment. After a moment's silence, Gohan looking between his teacher and the 14-year-old blonde, Piccolo nodded. All right, I'll allow it, but you follow my orders to the letter, deal? He spoke, and Naruto nodded. Now let's see what you know. He spoke, and rushed Naruto. Unlike Kami, he was fast enough to react, grabbing his wrist. Unfortunately, Piccolo extended his fingers, touching them to Naruto's forehead, and delving, like Kami, past the mindscape and into his memories, reading everything. He had enough time to do it before a punch sent Piccolo back and tumbling, clutching his chest. You and Kami both, I fucking swear, can't my mind stay private? He shouted, flaring his chakra dangerously, his blue eyes bleeding red as power radiated from him in waves stronger than before, but the malice, hate and anger that spilled off of him was palpable. His whisker marks thickened, his teeth took to fangs at the canines, nails became claws, eyes slitted pupils with red iris, hair hackled to viciously spiked hair. His entire appearance spike feral. Piccolo just smiled at the apparent transformation, another anger trigger. This will be useful. He spoke, rising, but from the entirety of his memories, he could understand this kid better. Abuse and torment, things he knew well. All right, kid, let's start. Gohan, watch, observe everything we do and attempt to learn. Afterward you will spar with him, and I will watch. He spoke, and turning his focus back, Naruto returning to normal, he charged him. What followed was an intense battle, where each is pushing the other harder and harder, laying into each other with their power. Gohan had difficulty keeping up, but with instruction, learned how to follow the movements with ease. It was amazing to see, really. After the battle, both were struggling for their air, but had rough smiles. This was more like it. This was what Naruto and Piccolo both had been craving, a challenge in their training that while training Gohan, Piccolo couldn't find, and with the restraint the others pursued, Naruto couldn't really invest into the training. Between them, this wasn't a concern. As told, attentions turned to Gohan, and with as much restraint as Piccolo, started sparring with the boy. Having a different person to fight against helped Naruto's variety and experience. Plus he anticipated a problem of fear, and shape-shifted into Raditz, though had to go quiet since he didn't know his voice, and fought Gohan like that. Initially he'd been frozen, but words from Piccolo pushed the boy's anger, and Naruto saw for himself his potential. He did this a few times more, getting Gohan to become familiar with his anger, how it felt to draw on it. Naruto and Piccolo were advancing again. It was odd, he was the superior with sheer ability, but he realized his earlier analysis near a year ago remained true. The man with centuries of combat experience, high intelligence, among other factors, allowed Piccolo the advantage even against physically superior foes. He almost wanted to cry, and might have if he weren't smiling. Piccolo was still pushing him despite not being stronger. That was how to fight. With the training, they taught each other, or rather Piccolo taught and picked apart his flaws like he was some academy student all over again. He was just glad that unlike Kami he can only glimpse and understand, not comprehend and learn his life essentially. But he taught his own in return where he could, and between them both, spent the last month and a half fortifying Gohan, making use of as many clones as they all could to enhance all of their training. Training was going smoothly when he felt a ping from his scouter. Clicking it, it unfolded onto his face, and he heard Bulma's voice. "Hey Naruto, you there?" she asked. "Yeah, I'm here, Bulma. Watch I got," he asked. "We've been told to bring Goku back to life. Come on to Kame Island, you're going to want to see this." She spoke and ended the call. "Piccolo, Gohan. They're summoning Shenron. The Saiyans must be close, so not much use training, better to rest and meet them with full energy. I'm heading to Kame House to watch, feel free to join me if you want," he said, smiling as he watched Gohan turn to Piccolo with bright eyes, the green man sneering, who ended up nodding. Snickering, the man really had gone soft after all. Rising into the air, the three of them took off at high speed, flying through the sky, cutting clouds with their aura of energy. It didn't take long, not even half an hour at their speed, to reach Kame House, where they touched down. Naruto smiled. The 14-year-old had grown another inch, and Gohan had grown considerably under the training. Piccolo was about the same as ever. The others were hesitant with Piccolo, but seeing Gohan safe and stronger, it eased a few worries. "So what did we miss?" Naruto asked with a smile. Bulma just rolled her eyes. "Looking good, Naruto, you bulked up a bit," she said, appreciating the look all that much more. "Just a little more mass, but spread out to really get full body appeal. I'm betting you made that girl, what's her name, very happy," she said with a teasing grin, and Naruto sighed. "Never going to live that down, am I?" he asked. "Nope." She popped the pea and he just shook his head. "Anyway, let's get the show on the road," he said, biting his thumb and putting it to the ground with the right molding of chakra. Lord Fukasaku appeared, looked around and smiled. "Ah, Naruto boy. About that time then, is it?" he asked, and Naruto smiled, taking the 4 clone scrolls. These were the tougher Kage Bunshins they had overcharged in making. Taking 2, he unrolled and then unsealed them, producing clones of Jiraiya and Tsunade. All those gathered already knew of them, so this didn't come off as weird. "Naruto, did you need us for something?" Jiraiya asked. Knowing he was a strong clone, he was wondering if there was an enemy. "No, but you're about to witness the summoning of an eternal wish-granting dragon. Figured you might want to watch, but if you don't, I'm sure Mom won't mind staying with me to watch," he said, forming a key sphere to forcefully dispel the clone. No. That's alright, I want to see it. I was just expecting trouble," he said, sighing when he let go of the attack. Tsunade laughed, and pulled Naruto in for a hug. "Good to see you again, you look so strong and handsome. Really filling in, aren't you?" she asked, and he smiled. Nodding. "Hey, hate to break the tender moment, but a dad man on a time limit to revive here. His 1-year limit is fast approaching," Bulma said, and they looked over sheepish before looking to the 7 crystal balls on the ground. They didn't seem like much, but then again, a drop of blood can summon a toad the size of a biju with a sword that can clear-cut entire forests, so he wasn't saying anything. They went about the process, and he watched in amazement as the clouds went dark, and then the balls glowed before yellow lightning shot out from them into the sky, arcing and curling and twisting through the clouds. Then it started to take shape and filled out into a long-bodied serpentine form, with claws, a head, horns, red eyes, teeth, and green scales. Those who hadn't seen it before looked up totally awe-stricken. "So this is Shenron," Naruto spoke, awed by the sight. Fukasaku, for as much as summons go, bowed his head in respect. It was certainly a powerful being. Tsunade marveled at it, but reached a hand and grabbed Jiraiya's collar, keeping him from stepping forward, no doubt trying to make a wish. A glare told him not to try it. They watched on as they made their wish, not with a little trouble, which gave them some information on the balls. But then when it was done, the balls shot into the air and scattered across the world. "Damn, why can't we have a pair of those?" Jiraiya muttered. "Because of you. You're the reason we can have nice things," Naruto, Tsunade, and even Fukasaku said in unison. Jiraiya paused and curled into ball, making the others laugh. Alright, there is still time before the Saiyans arrive and I have your 2 other clone scrolls. I'll summon you before so you can see how it transpires. We've given it all of our preparations now, the only thing we can do from here on is fight well and fight hard. He spoke, smiling at his adoptive mother. She hugged him to her and he returned it, finally getting used to such contact. You better come back to be alive, or I swear I will find a way to wish you back and kill you myself. She told him, getting a confident nod from him. I will, Mom, no worries, he said, and she huffed. This boy really, still mad at you over that native tribe girl incident. Seriously. You just witnessed a dragon and that's what you're thinking about. What native tribe girl? Naruto, you've been testing the waters here? Oh. You have? Tell me, he said, pulling out a notebook and pen, more like testing the local brew. He muttered before swiping a casual fist through the clone's head. I'll be so happy when I can punch the real one again. I'll do it for you. For now, get rested and be ready to fight. I expect to be here when it starts, she commanded before she dispelled herself. Fukasaku chuckled, waving to Naruto before he dispelled back to NT Maiboku. Well, guess there's not much else to do besides wait and eat, is there? He spoke, as they all nodded, heading inside besides Piccolo, who stayed outside. Piccolo was allowing this much because when they fought, it could all go badly. A small concession to the kid who might be dying tomorrow. As they talked, socialized and shared stories, Bulma practically doting on Gohan for spending a year with Piccolo, and teasing Naruto, they shared a good meal together, some realizing it might be their last. Bulma showed off her new abilities to Gohan, who was impressed she could fly now too. Even his mom couldn't fly, and Bulma took no small pleasure from that. Oh, she remembered Shishi alright, and getting any up on her, friendly of course, was always a bonus. In the other parts of the world, others knew what the summoning of the dragon meant, and were making their own preparations. Regardless of when they arrived, their next fight would be harder than any before. Some questioned if they were ready, but knew it was foolish to ask that at this point. It was either ready, or make it work, or die. They settled in, ready for whatever hell may find them when they woke up next time. Not too far away past their atmosphere, 2 white spheres were swiftly approaching at speed unhindered. The night spent with the others at Kame House was an interesting one, if not a bit somber considering the mood that was set for the eve of the fight to come. They all prepared a lot of food, Naruto supplying Ichiraku ramen he cooked for his and Bulma's ramen addiction, among other things. They ate and got everything set out, new fresh GI, running through all his gear, supplies on hand, the few senzu beans he has left, about 3, and anything else he could think of. Despite the harsh training with Piccolo, Naruto had yet to actually experience a fight on this level with their techniques, so he was a bit nervous if he was being honest, but he did an okay job hiding it. That morning he went spear fishing, swimming around the island and caught them some fresh fish to go with their breakfast, eating well. They were expecting the Saiyans later that day, and everyone was worried. There was no telling how this would go down, only that they had prepared as much as they possibly could. The morning was unbearable, that is until it turned 11:33. He could feel the power, as did Piccolo, Gohan and the others, though they kept their cool. Bulma was the most shaken with what she was feeling, not used to being able to sense power, or of such intensity either. Bulma, sure, it's okay. Naruto comforted her, bringing her into his arms, holding her as she was shaking. Roshi shook his head, unable to do more for the girl who was so overwhelmed with these feelings. Hey, it'll be fine, we'll go take care of this, Chi-Chi and Ox are already on their way. He spoke softly into her ear, rubbing a hand up and down her back. She calmed and nodded, letting go. He smiled before he produced 2 scrolls, pressing a hand to the seals on the scrolls, 2 puffs and there stood Jiraiya and Tsunade, and a bit of blood with the seal pushed to the ground, and 2 smaller stacks of smoke produced 2 toads. It's time. We're taking off now to confront the Saiyans. Stay here and wait for us. I got that thing you gave me, Bulma, so no worries. We know their weakness is their tails, not just that it freezes them physically, but a great deal of their power is connected to their tails, thanks to Mom and Shizen who dealt with Raditz body, he said, getting a few grimaces from those not of the shinobi mindset. Dirty methods it might be, but it's valuable information that can help us stay alive, he stated, getting a nod from Piccolo. Indeed, we'll need every advantage we can get to deal with the Saiyans. Now let's get moving, we've wasted enough time here. The slug man spoke, irritated, but right. Naruto, you take care of yourself out there. I know there isn't much we can do to stop you, but I want to see my son walking through the Konoha gates, not carried through them, she stated, rubbing a hand across Naruto's face cheek. Before pulling him into a hug he returned. There are still things I want to teach you, kid, but you gotta come back for me to do that first. Jiraiya spoke, getting a nod from Naruto. I will, without a doubt I will. Now I gotta go, he said, stepping away from the Sannin as he lifted into the air with Piccolo and Gohan, before shooting off into the sky and into the distance. Their auras cutting through the clouds until they could no longer be seen. Come on, Naruto will set up something to let us watch the fight, Bulma said, leading Irine inside to see a new larger TV replacing the one Roshi had. More seats were made so everyone could sit and watch. They took their seats and waited. Soon enough Chi-Chi and Ox showed up, taking their own seats as well. Hey Ox, Chi-Chi, it's been a while, Bulma stated, giving a sheepish expression as she remembered that Gohan had been here. And they didn't tell Shishi. Oh, she could only hope that didn't come to bite them in the ass. Naruto caught up with Piccolo and Gohan readily. Flying with he too at speed, he could allow himself to settle into ease of the feeling flying gave him. Looking to his right, Gohan was tense, very tense. Gohan, relax. Just do like you've done in training and you'll do fine. Don't think of the what ifs or like that. You're here, in this moment, and that's what you need to stay focused on. Naruto spoke, smiling as he passed on some of the sagely wisdom he's gained since leaving for his training trip. Seeing Gohan relax and nod, helped him to do the same. Honestly, he might have needed those words more than he did. They came to a wasteland, where the only life was animals, primarily rocky and grass terrain with sparse else vegetation. Landing, he took to some stretching and breathing. 5 feet 7 inches weighing in at 132 pounds of solid muscle built onto hardened bone. His light swimmer's physique packed on more mass now compared to a year ago. Blonde spiky hair flowed backward from his head down to just below his shoulders now, deep cerulean eyes piercing through whatever they looked upon. Defined but rough black whisker marks graced his cheeks, slight canines raised behind his lips, fair skin now turned tan under harsh training in the sun. His GI was altered a bit. The GI was now a burnt orange, but the blue was replaced with black. The undershirt was a tight mesh shirt with sleeves that ended at the bicep where at the end leather armbands were tied off, something he kept from the carry-on clothes he wore. His forehead protector with black cloth was now his sash, black boots, and instead of wristbands, black bandages wrapped around his wrists to his knuckles, but left his thumb and fingers open. Bulma had helped him put together his new GI to fit him and his tastes, so he was thankful for that. Reaching into his pocket, the only loose item on his person as everything else was sealed away for safety on his body and storage seal tattoos, he pressed the capsule and tossed it, poofing into smoke in midair. A whirring could be heard as a small drone-like machine flew about, before breaking off into several, each with a little camera, now broadcasting back to the others. Came house. Oh, we got signal. Bulma called out, got up and adjusted a few controls on the TV, adjusting the signal and getting better quality. Bulma, why even do that at all? I mean, we know the reporters will be there anyway. Chi-Chi asked, knowing how stupid some of their own kind could be of danger. Well, when I was doing some tests on the effects of Ki-on technology, I found that the more concentrated Ki becomes, it can overload the power in common electronics. I found what I determined to be a kind of shielding in the scouter and even the spaceships they use. So I copied this technology and after some trial and error, managed to make this so hopefully we can watch without interruptions. Bulma stated, quite proud of herself if she thought so herself. Wait, who'd you get to do all that with? Wasn't everyone away training? Chi-Chi asked. A little perturbed, one of the guys would just slack off when the fate of her baby Gohan was at stake. Oh no, I did that myself, she proclaimed, crossing his arms and smiling, chin held high as he started to levitate off the ground. Naruto talked me into it, and it's been quite useful. I can keep up my youthful looks, feel younger, the whole deal. I'm not even wearing any makeup, she proclaimed, touching back down to the ground with a smug smile as she saw Shishi form a tick mark at the implications Bulma, a woman 4 years older than her, was making. Tsunade and Jiraiya off to the side with Ma and Pa looked to on another. They were staying out of this one, but Tsunade was intrigued with what possible benefits the internal energies. Have to say, it's nice being able to keep up with the others now, she finished, her grin and gaze telling. Chi-Chi slammed her hand to the table. Alright, that's it, you little dash. Ox suddenly grabbed Shishi and held her back, away from Bulma, knowing full well a fight here wasn't a good idea, and while Bulma was no fighter like Shishi, she had the raw energy to handle herself enough at least, which Shishi had neglected in training and since marrying Goku. Dad! Let me go! Chi-Chi hollered. Now Shishi, Bulma's just riling you up for fun. She doesn't mean it, I'm sure. Besides, look, there's Gohan. He's gotten so big too, he said, quickly distracting his daughter who shot to the TV screen. He shot Bulma a look to ask not to rile her up anymore and got a nod with a sigh. She was having fun too. Oh my poor baby! I've missed out on seeing him grow. He looks so rough. she said, clearly worried when she saw how he looked from his harsh training. He seemed physically fine in my professional opinion when I saw him. Tsunade said, making the others freeze. What professional opinion, and when did you see him? Chi-Chi asked a bit harshly. A doctor's opinion. I'm the head of the hospital of our home village. The blonde one is Naruto, my son, he's fighting too. Tsunade clarified, her twitching eye enough to tell she wasn't taking kindly to the woman's tone, her own emphasizing that she had a stake in this as well so not to push it. Her gaze, filled with pain from previous losses, hold more weight than Chi-Chi's could. And last I saw him was just an hour ago, when he left here not long after we were summoned. His energy levels were good, skin tone showed he's been eating properly and getting enough rest, his physique is good, weight seems fine, and no injuries I can see. Overall, from what I was able to determine, he is healthy with only rough training making him look like that, which is appearance only really. She finished, telling her son is healthy and fine. Here. He was here? She asked, looking to the others, who nodded numbly. Chi-Chi looked to them a moment, stock still. Gohan felt a shiver go down his spine. Did anyone feel that? The boy asked, looking to the others. No, it was just your imagination. Now focus, Gohan. Piccolo stated, looking off, seeing Krillin land. They started talking back and forth. Naruto had his eyes closed, ignoring the drones whirring about. He tapped his scouter, calling up Bulma as he focused on sensing out the approaching energies. Bulma, can you hear me? Can you see us? He asked, only to hear yelling, then Bulma shouting, getting silence, and then he could hear Shishi yelling into his ear. Grabbing a drone, he stared at it angrily. Shut up! He yelled, getting silence. He turned the drone to Gohan, taking off his scouter and handing it to Gohan. Here, Gohan, say hi to your mom, he said, and let Gohan have his piece to talk to his mom, looking into the drone, before walking over to Piccolo and Krillin, the green man eyeing him. Reminds him what he's fighting for. He spoke simply, knowing it helped him. It was a little longer waiting, having freed Gohan from his scouter and the drone, a little forcefully from how Shishi was responding, but he ended the call before it could go any further. Putting his scouter back on, it folded back out of sight, and motioned to one of the small drones to stop, pointing to the distance. There they could see 2 dots, and they were now aware it was time. The drones flew farther away, taking positions. The two flew in together, before touching down not far from them. Looking at them then to the drones, they smirked. Interesting toys, what are they for? The small one asked, motioning to one of the nearby drones. Cameras. Got some people looking forward to a show, and we aim to please. Naruto said with a smile. Heh, hope they look forward to the funeral service we'll provide for you then. The larger one laughed out. He started tapping on his scouter. Let's see about you still using those things? Naruto asked, scoffing at the scouters they wore. He tapped behind his ear and the scouter unfolded out in full, eyepiece and all. Come on boys, get with the future. He called out mockingly. Heck cute. Nappa, remove your scouter. These fools can hide their power, scouters will be useless to us. He stated, removing the device from his face. Oh yeah, you're right Vegeta, that weakling Raditz was fooled by them and let his guard down. The larger one spoke, taking his off too. Piccolo cocked an eyebrow when mentioning Raditz as weak. They looked to each other a moment, Naruto putting his own scouter away. Taking a stance, he stood with the others as they waited, but then the two seemed to do something, before producing 6 little green men, and revealed Piccolo to be something called an Namekian. Seriously? I was hoping I was the first alien to arrive on Earth. Wait, I never would have had that anyway. Damn! He cursed, kicking the ground, keeping things light, keeping tensions down. A smirk from Piccolo told him he appreciated the gesture. Others started to arrive, Tien, Chiatsu and Yamcha. Hey Tien, what did you do with Launch? He asked, looking around for another blonde. She's at Kame House with the others. Had to drop her off before we got here, he said, rubbing the back of his head. Uh-huh. More like took a morning send-off with her, he said, making the bald man splutter and Chiatsu nodding vigorously, though a hand over his mouth from Tien kept him quiet. 7 of them, we've only got 6 Saibamen here, but this should prove an adequate test. Let's have them fight it out one-on-one, Vegeta stated, smiling. Piccolo didn't take too kindly to it, but Krillin reminded him that Goku was on his way, so take the chance to stall. Tien went first, starting off the little competition, however it quickly turned for the little green creature's defeat, who was quickly killed by Vegeta. Weakness is someone I'll not stand for, be it in body, or in mind by underestimating your opponents. Be sure to learn from your comrade's failure, no holding back anything, Vegeta stated, while the fighters all looked to each other. The atmosphere was tense, and doubly so for those watching. Krillin tried to take the next, but Yamcha took over for him after advising against it, considering he's been wished back once already. Yamcha's fight wasn't much of a show either, as he trounced his enemy just as quickly as Tien did. However, things took a turn when the defeated Saibamen jumped and latched onto Yamcha. What? He hollered, trying to break free, but the creature just smiled, and then self-destructed, the resulting explosion rocking the area. Naruto shielded his eyes, gritting his teeth as he could feel Yamcha's ki suddenly fade and then gone before he could even realize how bad it was. Krillin was the first to go when the smoke cleared, and checked on Yamcha. He's dead. He staring at the Saiyans and Saibamen. He knew this could happen, that's why he went first. But he was. Puar and Bulma. He glanced off to one of the drones, knowing they were watching, and fury took hold. Naruto grimaced. He might not have cared too much for Yamcha himself, but he knew Bulma cared for him, and the same was true the other way around, and it wasn't like he was a bad guy in the slightest either. Get away from here, he shouted, charging a large concentration of ki, before unleashing in a blast that shot for them, but spiraled up from the Saiyans, separating into multiple beams, hitting all but one of the Saibamen. The smoke hung in the air, however before it could disperse, a Saibaman broke through from the ground, aiming a kill strike for Gohan. Gohan turned fist drawn back ready to deal with it, but Piccolo caught the arm before it could come closer to Gohan. Piccolo, I had him. He started, not sure why he stopped it if he had it handled. I'm aware, kid, no worries though, I just wanted to do a little warm-up, he stated, striking it before throwing it up into the air, obliterating it with a mouth blast. After all, don't want to start the real fight sluggish. So long as it is a real fight, we'll give you one to remember. Vegeta spoke, ailing out of the smoke with Nappa in tow. Hey, come on Vegeta, let me kill 'em all. Shouldn't be that difficult, might have some fun actually. Oh very well, just make it quick, he stated, smirking as Nappa strode forward. The man took a heavy breath, settling into a horse stance and started gathering power, concentrating his ki within his body. The others looked on in disbelief at the power they felt. Naruto gritted his teeth, not liking this one bit. Nappa kept going, before sliding into a stance as his power settled into an electrified aura about his person. The man swiftly charged forward, and his first target was Tien, who was quickly freed of his arm by a brutal chop of Nappa's hand to the arm. Nappa went for a follow-up, but Tien jumped out of the way up, bringing his arm back. He was offset by Nappa's rush once again, a kick sending him into the ground. The display left the others stunned, but as Krillin rushed in to help Tien, Nappa threw his arm outward, digging a trench into the ground with his ki that went so deep, it turned to darkness and the bottom couldn't be seen. Chaozu! Krillin hollered out, and Naruto looked up in time to recognize the small figure on Nappa's back. Chaozu, no! Get out of there! Naruto hollered, but there wasn't much he could do. As soon as he lifted off the ground, another explosion saw Chaozu self-destruct on Nappa's back. Naruto and the others covered their eyes, but was stunned when moments later, Nappa appeared from the smoke mostly unscathed. That was pointless, guess you still don't get it, do you? He muttered with an arrogant smirk. Naruto shook himself of his shock and rushed over to Tien. A green glow overtook his hands as he placed it over the stump of his left forearm. The trauma is too severe for me to reattach the arm with my skill, so I can only stop the bleeding, he told him as he worked on the arm, healing it as best he could. Tien struggled, telling him he was wasting energy. Did Chaozu waste energy? He asked, setting the man on edge and angry. He wouldn't think so, and I sure as hell don't think I am. So shut up and let me work so you can use what you have to avenge him instead of dying of blood loss, he finished, making the man rein in his anger, knowing him to be right. A senzu he knows can fix his energy and heal most of the wounds, but a missing arm? Pulling a bean from his storage seal, he put it up to Tien's mouth. Eat, he ordered. At that time, Nappa charged at them, but before he could attack, Piccolo bashed Nappa away, followed by Krillin, and finally towards Gohan. Gohan looked nervous and instantly he was apprehensive on Gohan's will to fight. However, the boy steeled his nerves, likely remembering why he was here, and firing off a full-powered Masenko. The beam exploded against Nappa, and Naruto smiled. That's how you do it, kid, he muttered with a smile as Tien took the bean and ate, and to his own amazement, saw the arm healing right before his eyes. He didn't stop his healing technique until the arm was fully regenerated. Ha! Nice try, brat, Nappa called from the smoke, rushing right at Gohan, too close to be avoided as he bashed his fist into Gohan's abdomen and sending him flying into a rock face. Gohan! Piccolo roared and raged, charging at Nappa and stretching his arm out behind him, forming a ki blade in his hand. Stopping short of Nappa, his arm retracted and snapped forward with an almost elastic force, smashing the ki blast into Nappa's stomach, rocketing him skywards, before he rushed to pull Gohan from the rock face. Naruto found himself knocked away by Tien, and looked up at him confused. Sorry to waste your energy, Senzu and time Naruto, but I have to do this, he stated, glaring up at Nappa. Kikoha, he shouted, channeling all of his newly regained energy, including his life force, into his next attack through both arms, the attack striking Nappa with full intensity, leaving the giant wounded actually, his armor now gone, but still alive. Damn, you and the brat got some good hits in, spooked me a bit, the Scion stated, while Tien struggled to stay upright, falling to a knee, before falling to his face. He checked him, but narrowed his eyes when he felt no pulse. You stupid fool. This isn't what Chaozu sacrificed himself for, he muttered, standing up, looking up at Nappa as did the others. Tensions were high, stress unbelievable. Piccolo landed beside him with an injured Gohan to show for his efforts against Nappa. Naruto pulled out another senzu, handing it to Piccolo. I've only got one left after this, he stated, getting a grunt from the man, as he fed it to Gohan, who was now energized and up. Should save that for yourself then, it'll be hard enough fighting them as is. The smaller one seems stronger as the leader of the two. Piccolo spoke. A quirk eyebrow from Naruto asked why. You might not be as heavily trained as us, but you have the most energy and it's potent, more so than any of ours or theirs, he stated, getting a nod from the subtle message. Piccolo, I'm sorry I wasn't able to hurt him, Gohan stated, but Piccolo shook his head. I'd have been disappointed if you didn't take the shot, but you did and at full power, just as planned. He's simply tough, don't get down on that. Next time, do better though. For now focus, we have to win this fight. Win, and you can see everyone again, Piccolo assured, giving the boy a smirk, quite proud of his student. He'd have to thank Naruto later for the wise decision on getting the boy to talk to his other before the fight. It was just a push he needed to remember why he was here fighting. Krillin landed beside them, stressed and burdened. Damn it! Where is Goku? The shorter man shouted, catching Vegeta's attention. Any confidence we can win this? He asked them. Can't say for certain, but the four of us need to rush in for the kill. Naruto, Gohan, can you go full anger? Like before? He asked the two raged powers beside him. I'm not sure. I can try. Gohan started, thinking of how to do it. Not really, it's a subconscious thing I do in anger, not willfully, he stated, not sure if he could bring about the power from anger alone, and he doubted the Kyuubi would be so willing to lend power now, at least not until he is dying, unsure if his power could help, unaware that Kyuubi experienced a power change in chakra identical to Naruto himself. I'll take what I can get, this may be it for us. Piccolo started. Man, and here I was hoping to cash in that promise for a wingman from Naruto. He muttered out, depressed but ready to fight. Hey, look at it this way. We'll make them remember who we are if the last thing we do, if they kill us, we'll be sure to mock it into their flesh and bones so they'll never be able to forget it. Naruto spoke, gathering what would his head for the remark and a smile as he took his stance with the others. Came House, Bulma and Puar were beside themselves, as was Launch, who were slumped against the cushion, having witnessed the deaths of their close friend and lovers, in crystal clear clarity. Chi-Chi was a nervous wreck over Gohan getting smashed into the rock face, while the others were tense, watching the standoff that was taking place. They're dead. Bulma mouthed out numbly. Not all of them, besides you got them Dragon Balls, don't you? Tsunade spoke, bringing some life back to Bulma and Puar. Not gonna work on Tien. The now blue-haired Launch muttered out, drawing her knees up to her chest and laying her head into them to cry, her hair curtaining around her face. Bulma pulled in close to the woman, holding her as she cried. Tsunade, the balls can bring a person back to life only once, not twice. Bulma corrected the older blonde, who realized that Tien had died once already. The Dragon Balls were little miracles, yes, but even they had their limits, it seems. Bulma just continued to hold Launch, rocking and rubbing her back with her, trying to ease her. Just where in the hell is Goku? Chi-Chi shouted, not understanding why her husband wasn't there yet. Her baby was getting thrashed, and he wasn't there to thrash the man who did it. The others were having similar thoughts, unaware of the travel Goku was having to overcome to get there in time. Wait, something's happening. They're backing off? Jiraiya started, looking at the screen. Bulma fiddled with the control, adjusting the audio to catch the speech. Battlefield. Nappa, wait. Vegeta stopped the larger Saiyan who was charging the group. You four, you seem to be bidding time for someone. Correct? He stated, getting nods. This Goku, that's the Earth name for Kakarot, isn't it? He asked, getting another nod. Interesting that you'd have faith in a man who's not even here. Fanciful as it is, he was brought to life with the balls. He seems to be spending his new life hiding. My dad is no coward. When he gets here, he will crush you. Gohan defended his father, gritting his teeth as anger surged through the small boy. The rest of them agreed in their own words. Peculiar. All right then, we'll wait for him to show up. Vegeta spoke, but Nappa didn't seem to like that. Screw that. I'll kill these fools now, he mouthed, rushing them again, but Vegeta shouted at him to stop and remember his orders. Sorry Vegeta, guess I lost my head for a minute there. He corrected himself, flying down to Vegeta's side. 3 hours, no more, no less, we'll wait for Kakarot to show. He spoke, but Naruto stepped forward. 3 hours on your word and honor as warriors? He asked, having heard it from Piccolo during the Raditz encounter. Saiyans considered themselves great warriors, so he was banking to ensure the 3 hours, rather than letting it get cut short even by 10 minutes. 3 hours on our word and honor as warriors. 3 hours, and then you die. Vegeta smirked coldly, before turning away and pulling on his scouter, Naruto doing the same, setting it for 3-hour alert. He walked back and took a seat, and began meditating on his energy. He hadn't the chance to fight, not rally. In the offensive so far, the others had pulled the work, when he tried to heal Tien, only for him to throw his life away. In the next fight, he'd have to give it his all, didn't even have a chance to use the tail weakness. He muttered, looking between each other. A drone flew in closer to them, looking around to them. Naruto pulled out his last senzu, breaking it in half and tossing it to the others. Eat, Gohan is at full strength, aside from healing Tien I'm still fresh, you two need to be at the top of your game, we'll use the 3 hours to rest. He stated, going a bit into a doctor mode. They didn't complain, eating on the last senzu to heal their injuries and gain their energy back. Piccolo, any ideas? If Goku doesn't show up in time, it'll be up to us. We'll have to immobilize him with his tail, taking a chance just to get that close. But if we can't grab it, cut it off, prevent him from accessing as much of their power as we know them to have. Me and Krillin will do this. Gohan, Naruto, you all have to hit him with everything you got, no holding back. I'll get clear before you hit, understood? He got affirmative nods from them. Nappa had apparently decided to amuse himself with the Earth's military, tearing through the machines and weapons Earth's military had to offer. Bulma was seeing this and making notes to advance their military contracts to better defensive technologies at the least. They waited, and time seemed to draw out like a blade. Came house, why in the hell hasn't your son fought yet? He's just been there on the sidelines not doing a damn thing. Chi-Chi shouted at Tsunade, who stood, stomping a foot to the floor, shaking the house down to its foundation. My son was healing Tien when the others took on the giant. If he weren't there, then your son may very well be dead already, as he saved some of those beans he had from his training to use to heal them. Don't you dare take out your stress and anger on my son, they'd be that much worse off if he wasn't there, Tsunade shouted, slapping Chi-Chi full across the face. But no strength was put behind it, unlike her foundation shaking stomp, and the woman knew it as she limped away, ashamed of her outburst and slight humiliation over the fact she didn't even get a proper slap. Tensions were high in Kame House now that they were forced to wait. Look, there's not much we can do at this point. All we can really do is hope for the best. Besides, they have 3 hours and plus those senzu beans to rest and heal. While the Saiyans, that giant Iway, is already injured and losing energy by fighting the military. They'll be able to start the next fight fresh with an advantage. So we wait, Rosh spoke, getting up. I'm preparing us some food, so that we'll be ready when it's time to meet up with them after the fight. He spoke, though not saying how they'd meet them. With that it was silence other than the tears of the blue-haired launch, which had quieted down now to low sobs. Battlefield 3 hours. 2 blips could be heard and Naruto clenched his teeth. He'd been meditating and sensing out energy flows, but nothing. Time's up. I guess he was a coward then. Vegeta commented, both scouter wearers putting away their devices. You take that back, my father is no coward. Gohan roared, but Vegeta just chuckled. Really? Where is he then? He asked, but got no answer. Doesn't matter. Kill them aside from the Namek, he stated, looking to his partner who'd had his fun and gotten himself cleaned. Yeah. Finally, thanks Vegeta. He spoke, stretching as he walked forward. Krillin was the first to take it, drawing Nappa's attention, charging him, and with a ki blast assist into the sky, Piccolo rushed and grabbing the tail. Naruto and Gohan charged ki blasts into their hands, rushing the giant from both sides. However, they stopped short when Nappa elbowed Piccolo on the top of his head. What was that, your big plan? We're not like Raditz, you know. We didn't leave that weakness untrained, he stated, while Vegeta just laughed. However, the laughter ended when Piccolo pushed off and forcefully ripped the tail from Nappa, earning a shout of pain from the giant, as he stumbled and grasped at the place his tail had been once before. My tail. You ripped off my tail. I'm gonna kill you, he bellowed. Piccolo was dazed and unable to get his mind focused, so fumbled to get out of the way. Nappa? Not the Namek, kill the others, we can use the balls to restore your tail. Don't disobey me again, he stated, giving the man a glare before looking to the Namekian. So you figured out our higher power is connected to our tails. He spoke, mostly to himself as they resumed fighting. It was a small concession, but now he knew to guard his own tail better if he was to fight. Strength aside, they were proving to be luckier than most they fought. Nappa stared down the others, fully pissed, but looking to them, he locked on to Gohan. Son of a coward? I'll start with you, he roared, rushing Gohan only to be stopped by Naruto, who took the blow instead with his arms crossed, his feet digging trenches in the dirt. Gohan, Krillin, get Piccolo to safety so he can recover. Now! He shouted, setting into stance as Nappa didn't rightly care who he fought. Both shorter males followed his order, as Nappa rushed him. Naruto ducked and waved out of the powerful blows, evading them, before grounding his legs and coming with an uppercut to Nappa's jaw with the right arm, before bringing it down and forward into a vicious elbow into the man's stomach and stepping in with the left foot, pivoting on the right, with a left hand step and punch, sending the man back. However, Nappa had a counter ready, bashing Naruto eye over the head, and sending him face first into the dirt, before trying to stomp down on his head. Naruto rolled out of the way, rolling to his feet. He was open as he received a ki blast to his side, tearing a hole through it. He grimaced and placed a green-coated palm over the wound, as his natural healing factor and the healing technique set to work on recovering the damage and stem the bleeding. Doing his best to avoid the strikes while he healed, he kicked off once he saw Piccolo back in the fight, using a flip kick in his back motion to get away and offset the giant with the blow to the chin. Together! He shouted, charging an energy blast in the short window they had, each of them firing a half-powered energy wave at the Saiyan, which exploded on impact. However, the giant rushed through the smoke right at Naruto, bashing his fist into his abdomen and sending him into the rocks, burying him. Damn brat actually managed to get some good hits in on his own, he stated, rotating his shoulder and rubbing his jaw. He wasn't half bad, Vegeta commented. Nappa went back to finish the job on Naruto, but Gohan and Piccolo both had other ideas as they put the man into the dirt, and a combo where they alternated the one doing the blows while the other kept him off balance or defended the other. Krillin meanwhile was charging an attack with his arm above his head. Get away! Krillin shouted, as Naruto pulled himself from the rubble in enough time to see the attack as he was spitting blood from internal bleeding. His natural healing factor from being Kyuubi's Jinchuriki and his gift healing his wounds, but fuck if it didn't hurt. Naruto watched as the disc of energy cut the Saiyan's cheek before bisecting a natural stone tower in the distance, easily, and had to question where that technique came from, and if he could learn it. Nappa was enraged over the injury, as he charged Krillin with an energy attack, forcing him to jump, but before he could capitalize, Piccolo and Gohan hit him in the back with ki attacks of their own, while Naruto rushed in from the front with a haymaker right to the solar plexus, forcing the man to double over. A follow-up was cut off when he was grabbed and thrown to the ground by his leg, before being thrown at Piccolo and Gohan, who managed to catch him. Ow! He muttered weakly, standing with their help as he spat out more blood. If ow is all you got to say, ye fine then. Piccolo jibbed, getting a weak smile from the shinobi. He's tearing us apart. We need to unload on him like we planned before, but he won't stay still. How can we hit him? He muttered. Ask nicely? Gohan decided to add, getting incredulous looks from the three other Earth fighters, before they laughed a moment together. Oh, he was fitting in just fine as a fighter. Wait, what's? I felt it too. It's massive, and moving fast. Naruto stated. It's Goku. Piccolo called, looking off into the distance. I'd recognize that signature anywhere, he stated, looking over to Naruto. How's your side holding? He asked, aware he had a hole there before. Seen better days, but I'll live. Be nice if we can stall him for a few minutes to strengthen the new skin so it doesn't tear open. He spoke, not enjoying the feel of an enhanced regeneration stitching wounds together, but better than wailing around with a hole in his body. You got it, Piccolo stated, returning to his focus on Goku, the others also commenting as Piccolo started talking on about Goku's arrival and what it meant, giving time for Naruto's wound to close and strengthen properly. Vegeta took the chance to check his scouter, and confirmed Goku's approach with a power of 5,000, whatever that value was in comparison to them. They seemed to panic over this, and decided to kill them as a sign to Goku. Naruto ended the healing and began molding his chakra, concentrating it into his core. The subtle feeling from the others told him they were doing the same. We don't need the Namek, we just need to go to his home planet, so kill them all, now, he ordered. Piccolo, run! We'll keep them busy, if you die the others stay dead. Gohan shouted and Piccolo just scoffed. No way I'm staying out of this, Gohan. So get ready for this, he stated, as Nappa charged Gohan. But the boy surprised him as a kick knocked the elder Saiyan flat out over Piccolo and into a rock pillar, which crashed around him. Nappa stood up from the rubble and raged, looking at Gohan. Annoying brat. Now you die! He shouted, unleashing what had to be his strongest blast in the entire fight right at Gohan. Naruto and Erlen were too far, but Piccolo interceded the attack with his body, shielding Gohan. The attack left deep scarring into the earth in its path except behind Piccolo, where Gohan was safe. Gohan looked over his friend who was now face first into the ground, their conversation too quiet to be heard from where Naruto stood. However, he knew what this meant and looked into the distance where the sanctuary was, faintly feeling another power fading along with Piccolo's. Gohan roared to the heavens, and his ki folded several times over as he concentrated it into his hands, forming a ki attack Masenko. He called, and Vegeta commented something on 2800 as his power. Narrowing his eyes, he drew upon his own power. He knew Gohan was stronger than this, his anger was empowering him, but closing his focus on channeling his ki better. Ha! He hollered, letting the yellow energy wave rush at Nappa. Nappa batted it away, however. Raisin Hamaha! Naruto roared out quickly, his spiraling blue energy sphere in his hands bursting forth as a wave as he unleashed his concentration of chakra right at Nappa while he was off guard. What? 4100! Vegeta called out, setting Nappa on edge as he pulled up a hasty defense, blocking the attack with arms crossed as it drilled into him, pushing him back, leaving deep trenches where his feet were in the ground. Damn it! Gathering his energy to his mouth, he unleashed his mouth blast at the ki attack, anchoring his feet and pulling his arms away, initiating a ki struggle between the two beams, before increasing the power and overcoming Naruto's attack, sending it and his own back on him, blasting him away, shredding his clothes and giving him many injuries, before hitting the ground with the same thud as Krillin from the attack he took in avoiding Nappa's blast earlier. Damn brats to both of you. But I'll deal with the one still standing first, he spoke, walking over to Gohan who was trembling, having exhausted his energy from anger and not properly channeling it like he should have. Die! He roared, stomping down on him. However, Gohan appeared elsewhere on the field, on a yellow cloud, and smiled as he recognized Nimbus. Dad! He called. Goku. Heh, knew you'd make it. Krillin uttered, but he wasn't in that good a shape. Goku looked around the field to all of those fallen, eyes lingering longer on each of the dead, before looking to those still living. He checked Piccolo despite the Saiyans' taunts and looked to each of them, as Gohan told him how he died. Nappa went on to brag about their deaths and how the little one blew himself up. Nappa attempted to punch him, but was bypassed by Goku who appeared behind him tie Gohan on Nimbus as he walked towards Krillin and Naruto. Sorry guys, I've only got one senzu bean, Korin only had 2 to give and I needed 1 after rushing down Snake Way getting back. He spoke an apology. Give it to Gohan and Krillin. I'll regenerate given enough time, just get my body where it can do that. Naruto spoke, not even really able to move right now after having his own blast reversed back on him along with Nappa's. His wounds were visibly healing, but it was slower than before. Right, here you two, eat this and get Naruto somewhere safe so he can heal. He told them, feeding them the halves of the bean. They quickly ate and each took one of Naruto's arms over their shoulders, holding onto his sides as well, to support his body. Came house, Jiraiya, I will crush your testicles if you do not let me go to my son right now. Tsunade bellowed, fighting against the Sage Mode Sannin clone who was restraining Tsunade from leaving the house. And I will burst you right now if you don't calm down. We can't fly and there's nothing we can do right now. Naruto will heal, that's a fact. They're getting him away from the battlefield, that's also a fact. So calm your ass down and sit. He will live, and this Goku character is now up to fight. He called to his Hokage who calmed, but still very disgruntled. They sat and all was calm again, however tensions were still high-strung with Launch, Bulma and Puar overcome with grief together now since Piccolo and thus Kami, with the Dragon Balls now gone. For Bulma it got worse for a moment with Tsunade when Naruto had been overtaken in the beam struggle, though calmed when Naruto was alive. But Tsunade noted this reaction, however it was not the time. Come on! We can meet up with them on the way out, no doubt they'll be heading back here. Bulma called out, getting Ox to carry the TV as they made their way outside to a large air vehicle Bulma produced, everyone piling in still huddled around the TV as they flew off toward the battlefield. Tsunade and Jiraiya looked to Fukasaku, who nodded and produced 2 more clone scrolls. Battlefield. Alone. The 2 shorter boys spoke, baffled. You can't fight him alone, they'll kill you, like he killed so many of us. Krillin started, but Goku silenced him. It's not up for decision, you're still injured and Naruto needs to get to safety. Right now you 3 aren't in the fight. When you get the chance, take off, I'll deal with the rest. He stated, giving no room to intrude. Hey Goku. Naruto called out, getting a curious glance from the man. Bora and Upa says to pay them a visit at the base of Korin's tower. It's been too long since you last visited. He smiled, passing along the message finally. Goku just nodded with a smile. He left them and they waited for a chance to get away. Naruto was looking on weakly at the fight as Goku concentrated his ki. Naruto heard the number, and stored it for later reference. If that was how Goku felt and the number compared, then with all the examples he had, he could more or less give a number to anything now. What they saw next was nothing short of incredible as Goku seemed to vanish from their eyes and then steamroll over Nappa, before avoiding each and every blow he made against the revived Saiyan. Then Goku started delivering attacks of his own, each one solid and heavy, he could tell. He tanked an energy blast with a simple defense, before rushing Nappa himself. Nappa was not doing good as he was being pummeled left and right. It was unreal, seeing how Nappa was being manhandled, letting his anger take over before Vegeta forced him to calm down. The fight that followed was beyond them as they watched, unable to really keep up for the most part. However, it ended with an explosion of ki blasts, before Vegeta called him off. Nappa, however, had other ideas and rushed the three on the ground. Naruto tensed, he was still unable to move and Krillin and Gohan, while healed, weren't in a state to fight. Kaioken! Goku shouted, being consumed in red energy, rushing Nappa, breaking his back and catching him, holding him before the three. Here's your friend, he called, tossing Nappa to Vegeta's feet. Nappa was sputtering to Vegeta to help him. That was what you learned from KO? Krillin asked and Goku nodded. Yeah, by controlling all of the energy in your body, you can amplify it momentarily. If you do it right, you can multiply your physical abilities, as well as destructive and defensive forces many times over. However, there's a catch. Do it wrong or too much while throttling my energy, and it'll wreck my body in ways that are too painful to list, he stated, giving them a rundown of the technique. Naruto stored it for later as well. The problems he had with his training was forcing him to seek some alternatives to getting stronger, so if he could just learn or develop new techniques with whatever increases he could get, he'd be satisfied. Now get out of here, you two. Naruto isn't safe here and neither are you two, he stated, getting nods as they floated. However, seeing Nappa blow to bits, and the power Vegeta unleashed to do it, was plenty convincing. They soon took off for Kame House with Naruto carried between them, a drone following them, as the other drones studied Goku and Vegeta from a distance. Should we find somewhere else to fight at? Goku asked and Vegeta just nodded, flying off with the drones following. Air vehicle. Bulma was driving in the front seat, every now and then casting a glance back at the TV screen that was watching the fights, seeing the split screen of the fight and the boys carrying Naruto toward them, no doubt. Her foot was tapping a moment before she stood, letting go of the wheel. Roshi, take the wheel. I can fly faster than this hunk of junk, she called out, jumping from the air vehicle with a crazed Roshi grabbing the controls before they fell out of the sky as Bulma rushed off in the sky toward the boys where she sensed them. Chi-Chi, who was watching, was aware that that could have been her. She could be there with her little boy now if she'd been keeping up with her training. A silent vow ensured her future would not be so lax as she was forced to watch and wait with the others. Bulma raced across the sky, ignoring the wind in her face as she closed in on the three signatures she sensed. Krillin, Gohan, she called out, seeing them soon enough in the distance they could all feel the fight starting, and it was worrisome. Both boys were apprehensive, and she could see it that Gohan wanted to go back. I got Naruto, you do what you need to, she told Gohan, taking Naruto from Gohan's arms, who looked thankful before racing off. Damn it, Gohan, wait for me. I'm not going back to dealing with your mother without you, he shouted as he called back, flying with Gohan, leaving a beaten Naruto with Bulma. Heh, sorry to be a burden, he spoke weakly, but Bulma waved it off as she adjusted Naruto onto her shoulders. She might have been a weak girl before, but with ki and magic flowing through her, Naruto might as well be a feather. It's fine. Let's get you to your mom so she can heal you, she said, the drone leaving to follow Gohan and Krillin. Your drones worked wonderfully on our end. What about yours? He asked, trying to distract himself from the pain. Worked good, we saw everything, she stated somberly, not wanting to remember that. Really? Damn, wish I had some of those to broadcast my pranks I did in Konoha, make my legend known far and wide. He mumbled tiredly, his energy being sapped in his regeneration. His attempts at humor to distract her was met with a smile. That's better, much prettier when you smile, he spoke, earning a small blush from Bulma despite the situation. Shut up. Focus, noodle brain, she called, giving a formless insult to the blonde she was carrying. He just chuckled before they came to the air vehicle and the doors opened, letting them in. How could you let Gohan go like that? He needs to be back here, Chi-Chi started, as Tsunade pulled Naruto in for what could be the gentlest and lightest hug she could ever give a person, before laying him down and starting on healing him. He wasn't going to come back anyway, he's too concerned about the fight to even care about anything else. If he hadn't been carrying Naruto, he'd probably have gone back sooner. Bulma defended herself. Be there yourself next time instead of yelling at everyone else. Bulma spoke with venom, real tired of the woman's indiscriminate anger, but the comment made her shut up at least. How is the fight going? Naruto asked, looking over to the TV, to see the two Saiyans trading blows in an intense struggle of physical attacks. So far Goku seems to be keeping pace with Vegeta, but we'll have to see. Ox stated, looking to Naruto. Jiraiya was huddled over Naruto as well, letting Tsunade direct his actions to help heal and tend to Naruto. Naruto watched on, as Goku was using Kaioken, while Vegeta was keeping up, their fight causing atmospheric effects in the immediate area of their fight. However, the fight turned ugly quick as Vegeta rose into the air and started charging a powerful attack to end them, all of them. Goku had to threefold his Kaioken with a Kamehameha, watching from the drone's perspective as the beams struggled and clashed. Naruto could feel it, as could some of the others. Bulma was positively whimpering as she was the least experienced in dealing with what she was sensing. He weakly extended a hand and rested it on her leg, the closest thing he could reach, but it seemed to calm her. He closed his eyes and felt out his body. Damn it. At this rate the fight will go on, they could use my help. He thought to himself, unable to stand down and lay there while the others were fighting so hard. Under Tsunade's care, she was healing him, having to replace herself with another prepared clone when she dispersed as she ran out of chakra. He gritted his teeth, trying to feel out his body. Everything was injured, and everything was healing slowly. Focus, get my internals healed first, he demanded of himself, directing the flow of energy where his regeneration was needed most. And to his own surprise it was. His energy flowed as directed and he could feel the internal pressures ease as his organs were healing first while his external injuries were left alone. Unwon to him, Yami and Kyuubi were having their own discussion, and deciding it's better to support Naruto than to hinder him, otherwise he'd just end up getting himself killed. So Kyuubi was actively channeling his own altered chakra to enhance the healing. The fight fizzled out a moment and Yajirobe appeared, but as they heard them talking on the two, they learned Vegeta was still alive. The cabin of the vehicle was tense. Naruto kept actively directing where the regeneration was needed while Tsunade saw to his externals. Before too much longer Naruto's internals were completely healed, so directed his healing outward to the grievous injuries outside he did need healed. Tsunade and others watched in amazement as wounds closed and stitched themselves together before their very eyes. Damn, this regeneration is almost at the level of a planarian. Tsunade marveled, reminded of her grandfather by how fast Naruto was healing. While the man was healed instantly in most cases, she doubted the man took blows like Naruto just took, so left the comparison there. Once the major external injuries were healed and he could move freely, Naruto stood, a little shaky at first. Oh no, you're done, you're not fighting anymore. Sorry mom, but I'm gonna be a bad son for a moment and say no. I have to get back out there. He was cut off by the roar from Vegeta on the moon, and then he saw the transformation himself, seeing what the Saiyan tail granted them, the power, at the full moon, and that they could create a full moon of their own as needed. I have to go, he said, giving her a quick hug before he jumped out of the air vehicle, taking off for the battlefield. While the others were panicked, they continued on to the other battlefield to recover the bodies of their friends. Battlefield. By the time Naruto got there, Krillin and Gohan were already fighting with the Ozuru Vegeta, trying to distract him while Krillin had another disc prepared. Seriously, he needed to learn that. However, the disc was jumped over by Vegeta, a smug grin as he explained why. Rushing past Yajirobe, who was cowering, grabbing his sword, he used the blade to protect his tail from his body, landing and taking a stance with Yajirobe's sword, as he watched Vegeta slowly begin to shrink, dropping Goku. Naruto! Krillin and Gohan called out, happy to see their friend mostly okay now, but he was breathing a bit hard as he rushed to get here. Yajirobe seemed stunned, but pulled the saya from his belt and tossed it to Naruto. Take it, Naruto, you need it more than I do. The rotund swordsman spoke aloud before rushing off, not wanting to be here. Yajirobe made it clear he is a coward, but he did try to help despite his cowardice. Putting the saya into his own sash, he resumed stance, and then Vegeta started to thrash them. Krillin and Gon put up damn good effort. Naruto used the sword to force Vegeta to keep his distance, keeping Vegeta off guard once he tossed Gohan beside his father. However, unlike Yajirobe, he was no master of the blade, and his form was broken apart when Vegeta caught his wrist, using the hold to smack Naruto around through the stone pillars and outcroppings with vicious grapples and throws. He groaned a bit, still holding onto the sword, before he watched as Gohan took the fight to Vegeta with extreme anger. He caught motion out of his eye and saw Krillin standing beside Goku. Using the sword as a crutch, he started making his own way over to them. Old injuries reopened and new ones making themselves known as he came closer to the pair. He watched as Goku passed some kind of energy onto Krillin, and in a moment, it formed into a ball. The Benki Dama. It's my most powerful attack. This should be able to end it, but we'll only get one shot. Goku spoke. Then let's make it as strong a chance as we can. Naruto stand, putting a hand over the attack and concentrating. A drone watching would also see the strings of energy beginning to flow through the sphere, before the ball took on the appearance of a Rasengan, its power rippling. Your Genki Dama and my Rasengan, not much else I can give besides my body. He spoke, getting a nod from Krillin and Goku. Still thrashed from the earlier fight, the rushed healing and getting beaten all over again after rushing here without recovering his energy, Krillin took a stance on a stone pillar while Naruto looked to Goku. I'll be back, just in case, he stated, bringing up the sword and stumbling off towards the fight. If it missed, he'd be able to rush in and get one good cut in, maybe enough to give Krillin and Gohan the chance to kill Vegeta. Supporting himself on the stones, he took a weak stance as he watched out near the clearing where they were fighting, gripping the sword he now held, ready to make one last dash and strike. The chance though never came as Krillin threw the Rasengan Genki Dama at Vegeta, who without any warning was unable to dodge it, and struck, sending him into the air as the initial power of the Rasengan grounded against his body, while the energy of the Genki Dama radiated throughout, damaging him excessively. There was a sigh of relief, but soon replaced with dread as Vegeta landed back to the ground. Krillin started to gloat, however Vegeta rose and batted him away, and produced a shockwave that cleared the area and cratered the ground, but it was minimal at best. Naruto fell flat, struggling to get up as Vegeta started walking toward the others, no doubt to further injure them. Anger welled within Naruto, eyes flashing red, he rose to his feet and with a bellow, dashed at Vegeta, cutting him across his back, followed by multiple other slashes that most missed, some met their mark, obvious showing of how bad Vegeta really was. Vegeta managed to knock away his sword and Naruto, unwilling to die or lay down now, bashed his head into Vegeta's and taking him down to the ground, though Vegeta managed to bat him away, where he skidded to a stop against a large flat rock, several bones breaking from the impact. Naruto coughed up a bit of blood, but he was done, unable to move. Vegeta pulled out some kind of remote, tapping a few commands and dropped it. Moments later an attack ball landed below them, and Naruto groaned. He was going to escape. Krillin was limping forward towards Vegeta. Krillin, get the sword, he called out and Krillin obeyed. Seeing how this sword cut his armor, it had to be a good sword. Naruto watched unsatisfied with what the result was surely going to be. However, that came to a stop when Goku seemed to be speaking telepathically to Krillin, and particularly enraged at letting him go, he lashed out mentally. What do you mean let him go? He killed off your friends, he hollered out in his mind, too weak to really communicate verbally himself. And Naruto? When do you learn to do this? Goku's voice called out in Naruto's skull, honestly something he didn't expect and would have jumped a bit if he were able. Ugh. Just now? Anyway, why the hell are you wanting him to let him go? He called out with his mind. Looking to the struggling Saiyan, the three-way conversation continued. Utilid decided to let him go by Krillin's decision with a promise for Goku's power to be off the charts. Naruto grimaced, not happy with the result, as Vegeta got away. Krillin brought this sword over to Naruto, who with the Saya from Yajirobe, was pretty much the owner of the word now. Krillin gathered up Gohan, setting him down with Goku, and then helped bring Naruto's broken body over to the others, his healing slower than it was before, the slowest it has ever been to be honest. But he laughed it off, Krillin sitting him up against the stones Goku and Gohan were lying against. Not bad for my first fight like this, huh? He asked, looking down to his broken body, the drones closing in, and eyeing them carefully. It seemed, we're pretty beaten up guys. Goku and I have it the worst. Goku's skeletal structure by my estimation is pretty much powder to fairy a guess, while his soft tissues might as well be crazy string. He spoke with a bit of mirth that got a pained chuckle from Goku himself. My wounds have all reopened with some new ones, my bones aren't faring much better and my regeneration is overtaxed, I'm barely healing like I should be. He went on, listing things to the drone. Gohan is knocked out with several moderate injuries, but nothing serious, kid's tough and will make it. Krillin's a bit worse off than Gohan, but conscious. He finished with rough estimation of injuries with as little focus he had to offer. The drone seemed to nod, and within about an hour, the Airbus landed, where Shishi came barreling out, or would have if Tsunade didn't have hold of her. Quiet. Your son is okay and will live. My son is being trained in medicine and healing. If he says he's okay, so stop your panicking. Geez, you need another kid to cool your ass down, Tsunade stated, walking over after releasing the calmed and slightly blushing woman. It was first-time parents who panicked so badly, so the second time around was where they learned stuff with an experienced hand. Course this might just be her routine response, in spite of the situation. Tsunade walked over with the others, checking them out and getting a nod. Pretty beat up their kid, but y'all did it. You beat them, she said, wanting to hug her son, but knowing it was too painful. Go on and rest, I have a couple more clone scrolls of me we can use to get you healed. So sleep, she said, giving his forehead a kiss, and he nodded, falling asleep, clutching the sword he now owned. They won. Naruto took a sharp breath as he awoke to the feeling of moisture seeping into the back of his clothes and skin. Looking around, he was in a corridor lit in a sickly orange hue. Sighing, he stood easily, feeling no injuries upon his body. He looked around to determine which way till he felt the pull and walked down the corridor, hearing the rhythmic breathing of the fox radiate throughout the mindscape. When he turned another corner though, rather than the fox's chambers, he saw Yami there waiting for him in an empty chamber. You got soft, he stated, making Naruto tilt his head slightly. What do you mean soft? He asked, a little insulted by those words. You could have ended it before it even started. You know as well as I do that you have to actively put up a defense to block most key attacks. Our chakra is especially dangerous in attacks. All it would have taken was to attack their blind side, their weakest points, at full speed and power. You could have killed Nappa and mortally wounded Vegeta. No, we couldn't have, not Vegeta anyway. Nappa most likely, but not Vegeta. He was too strong for conventional fighters. But that's not us. Remember, our chakra is the combination of ki and magic together, plus our essence as a Jinchuriki, the Biju's unique chakra, along with our mother and father's unique chakra plus whatever else is floating around in our coils. You're underestimating the quality of our energy, Naruto, and you're overestimating our prowess compared to them. Yes, our energy is extremely volatile when we want it to be, but it doesn't do us any damn good if it can't reach our enemies, to begin with. That's why you don't put yourself out there as a fighter. You are a ninja, a goddamned assassin. Act like it. But no, you wanted to play their game, fight on their ground, as a warrior. With honor and code of conduct. He scoffed and leaned against the wall of the chamber. Naruto stayed silent for the moment, as he thought his words over. I am you, Naruto, so I know how you feel, but because you wanted to try the warrior's path, people died. Chaozu and Tien both committed suicide against Nappa, and Yamcha was taken by surprise by the Saibamen, in a very underhanded manner we should be familiar with using. But no, you didn't, and now with Piccolo gone, those three will stay dead, and now Bulma and Launch will suffer for it. He finished, twisting the metaphorical knife. Naruto hissed as he took in a sharp breath, really not wanting to acknowledge all of this, but he was forced to. However, there was one thing. Even if I had taken out Nappa early in the fight, we'd likely be left with a pissed-off Vegeta who was far more powerful and capable, and on guard towards me. He may have just killed us all on principle, with full power rather than toying with us slowly like they were before. Yami stayed silent for this one, and despite his earlier remarks, this was also true. Vegeta may have just decided to kill them all if they managed to kill Nappa quickly. However, not wanting to waste the mental state of Naruto on logic, he needed to drive home a point. Be that as it may, you decided, willingly, to fight on their level, not on yours. You disregarded your full capability, and now you'll never know if that moment could have been different, if those three would have lived, and you will need to face the girls after you wake up. Remember this, Naruto, every action has consequences, good and bad, and you have to live with them. I hope you think on this. Yami finished, vanishing from this area of the mindscape. Naruto was left alone, with only the radiant noise of the fox's rhythmic breathing. Sitting down, he sighed as he thought over Yami's words. He knew that he was partly wrong, but on the other parts he was right. Their deaths may as well have been his fault. Tightening his fist, he reviewed the memories of everything that's happened since the last time he was in his mindscape, navigating the halls and doors. It helped him until he got to the memories of the fight, and was able to review them from an outside perspective. He could have done more, done it differently. And now the girls were alone. Damn it! He shouted, bashing a fist into the wall. He exhaled roughly as he let the knowledge of what could have been different sink in. Putting his back to the wall, he slid down till he was sitting in the water on the floor, hands in his long hair. What's the point of being stronger if it doesn't do me any damn bit of good? He spoke through gritted teeth. Then you find a way to make it count, Yami stated, making Naruto look up to see Yami standing there in front of him, back in the central empty chamber, not the hallway. He must have shifted the location. Since you're done torturing yourself with the memory, do you know what you need to do? He asked, looking to Naruto. I have to face the girls, he stated, and I'm not just a fighter. I'm an assassin. A ninja. We don't fight fair. Fair is for sport and luxury. When it matters, nothing is off limits. Good, you get it. It's not that you can't fight like that, but it's not your core. I doubt a chain of Naruto clones to smash an opponent into a cliff is fair, or a bomb tag Sannin Goroshi. You're a trickster, always have been. While learning to fight like this gives you real strength, as you so eloquently thought about it in that hospital bed in Konoha, Your tricks make sure that you can make things happen when you need them to, but you needed that strength to ensure your tricks could count when they needed to. It's a balance, and now you realize just what Erosenin meant. You're a ninja first, fighter second. He stated, smiling at Naruto. It's not going to be easy, facing Launch and Bulma. He said, nope. But you have to do it. Yami stated, making Naruto sigh. Well, can I at least be allowed back into my own damn mindscape from now on? It has been annoying not being able to get here on my own. Nah, you'll spend all your time here if you could right now. This is for your own good. Now you've been in here a good while, time to head back. Mom did a good job healing us until we recovered enough to heal on our own. Now get. Yami stated, banishing Naruto from his mindscape. Real world. Naruto groaned a bit as he felt the stiffness in his body, no doubt thanks to soreness from the fight and multiple rapid healings. Opening his eyes, he looked around to find himself in a hospital room once his vision cleared. Sighing, he sat up on the edge of the bed, flexing a bit to get a feel for his body. He was alone in the room for the moment, but he found on a stand beside him a pile of folded clothes, a container of food and drink, and Yajirobe's katana with a note. His body groaned as it resisted his movement to get up, but he pushed past that and stood up, taking a long moment to stretch. He felt his skeleton pop and crack as tension in his joints and such was released. He breathed and worked through a couple of stretches, but as he did he noticed that he was in a hospital gown. And nothing else, so that's where that breeze came from. He shrugged it off before taking the gown off and making his way to the attached bathroom, taking a shower and walking out, reaching for the pile of clothes. Hey, Naruto, I heard you moving around, so the voice cut off as Naruto froze and looked to the side, seeing Bulma standing there in the doorway just as frozen, staring at him, freshly showered and bare to the world. There was a silence before a new noise snapped them out of their stupor. Is he up, Bulma? Roshi called out to the brunette, whose hair provided a great contrast against the red of her face as he slammed the door shut. He's just getting up, she hollered back, her voice still by the door. Naruto took that as his cue to quickly get dressed, pulling on the clean casual clothes and sealing the katana into a storage seal tattoo, pulling his leaf headband onto his waist and his necklace out around his neck. It's all right now, Bulma, he called out, still red-faced from earlier. Bulma opened the door but didn't step through, just peeked in to see Naruto was dressed before she did step in. Hey, nice to see you up, Bulma greeted, trying to banish her thoughts on what she just saw. Looking better now that you're all healed up, she spoke after finally getting herself calmed down. Thanks. Ugh, how long have I been out? He asked, trying to look away from Bulma with his face still red from being walked in on like that. Bulma giggled slightly at his reaction but humored him a bit. Since you passed out almost 2 days. Your mom says you overtaxed your healing factor, so it took longer for you to heal than normal. Still though, from powdered bones to perfectly fine in 2 days, even with your mom healing you, that's still amazing. She spoke, watching as Naruto flexed a bit in the jeans, sneakers and loose v-neck comfy t-shirt. Your hair is getting pretty long now, thinking about cutting it? She asked, spying how long his hair was getting. Actually, I think I'll let it keep growing, see how it does long, he said, mostly as a reflex response while he felt out his body. My chakra is sluggish, he spoke, and Bulma nodded. Your mom said that was going to happen. You've been training a lot, yeah, but this was your first fight at this level that was so intense. It was a shock to your chakra network, and with your overtaxed regeneration, it'll take time for your chakra network to get back to 100%, so until that happens her orders are to not use chakra till then. You need to get used to using your chakra as heavily and intensely as you did. She spoke, passing along the message. Well, if it's my doctor's orders. He spoke with a mocking sigh as he slumped forward, though sported a grin. Thanks for clothes though, Bulma, he said, smiling at her. What makes you think it was me? She asked. Because you know my sizes and you're the only one that knows which seal has my capsules in it to get to my house, scrolls or clothes, he told her, smirking as she looked away sheepishly. Yeah, well, think nothing of it. Ugh. That gown was ugh. Now her thoughts turned back to just a few moments earlier. Anyway, we were just having a meeting over in Goku's room to discuss some things. So eat and come on over and, Bulma, Naruto interrupted, getting her attention. He took a breath, focusing as he thought to do this now while it was still fresh and had his nerve. I want to talk to you and Launch both when we get the chance, okay? He asked her, and she tilted her head. Well, we can do it now, she's here too. Hold up. She spoke, leaving the room, though Naruto saw now that he was paying attention that her hair was styled up, quite nicely actually. She was gone only a moment before she returned with blonde Launch, who looked disgruntled, but that was her usual expression. He motioned to the door, and they shut it behind them. Listen. The fight, I could have done things differently. He started, getting their attention. Naruto? Bulma asked, looking to him. Bulma. Launch. I could have stopped Yamcha and Tien from dying. He stared, taking a breath. I wasn't being what I was supposed to be, was trained to be. If I were, they might still be here, and with Piccolo gone, neither can be wished back anymore. I shouldn't have tried to be like the others. The two females looked to one another, now cluing in that Naruto was blaming himself for their deaths. But why? What do you mean, Whiskers? Not be like the others? Launch asked. A fighter. I shouldn't have tried to be a fighter like them. I'm a shinobi, a ninja. An assassin. I could have attacked them when they were unprepared, by surprise. I could have killed Nappa, wounded Vegeta. Naruto was suddenly silenced by a slap to the face. He stopped, knowing this was going to happen when they realized he could have done something. He looked up to see who it was that slapped him to see Launch, but rather than rage, he saw anger. Your dumbass Whiskers. Now that he wasn't expecting. Yeah, you could have done things differently, but ain't no point in whining about it now. So what if you had done things differently? You could have just as easily all ended up dead. You were damn lucky to survive as you did. And tell me, if you had killed the big fucking baldy, hurt the little guy. What then, The little fucker takes you seriously from the start and kills you all, then goes on a rampage to vent his anger. Goku would have come back to everyone he knew and loved dead. Launch chastised the whiskered blonde. She's right. Do you honestly think that if you had killed Nappa that Vegeta would have taken that sitting down? No matter how you look at it, this was the light compared to what could have happened. Though it was hard, seeing them die like that, at least not everyone died. But it's not over, Naruto. Bulma spoke, her voice more chipper. Seriously, he was just shell-shocked by all this. They can be brought back to life, Naruto. We had a talk with Goku's trainer in the other world, King Kai, while you were out. Piccolo and Kami were Namekians from the planet Namek. There are other Nameks still alive, which means there are likely Dragon Balls on Namek we can use to bring them all back to life, Beulah informed him, making Naruto's eyes widen. He just sat there on his bed, stunned. Both women set a hand on his shoulders, smiling at him. You don't need to be blaming yourself, Whiskers. They knew the risks of fighting, they made their choices. Which I'll be sure to beat Tien for when we bring him back. She muttered, smirking at the thought of making her boyfriend pay for the suicide move he did. So shut up with all that, it ain't your fault. Alright? She questioned. Naruto took a moment to process all of it, before he reached his hands up, grasping their hands on his shoulders, giving them a squeeze. Thanks. Both women just smiled down at him, giving his shoulders a squeeze before they released him. I'll try to be better about that in the future. So when are we leaving for Namek? He asked, making Bulma and Launch blink at him. Well, Dad's working on a new ship for us to take to Namek. Your ship to take you back home is almost done except a few touches, but nah, I'm going with you to Namek. We can use the ship y'all were going to give me to take us there. I ain't done here till everyone is alive again. So when are we leaving? He asked with a smile, while Bulma's face lit up with a smile. We can leave in a few weeks now with your ship, just waiting for once everyone is healed up, some finishing touches on your ship and ready to go. It'll be awesome to have you come with us. It'll be me, Krillin, Gohan, and now you going. She spoke, excited to having Naruto tag along. Can't wait. He said with a smile, though now with all that off his chest and a new purpose in mind, he was able to really relax now. Hey Whiskers, tell me something. Launch spoke, slipping an arm around Naruto's shoulders. Blue here changed up her hairdo and not a single guy in the other room even makes a comment on it. What do you think about it, She asked with a smirk, making Beulah blush a bit. Launch. There's no point in bringing it up if no one commented about it on their own. Bulma told the blonde sneeze-prone woman. Actually. He trailed off, cutting Launch's reply off. I like it, though I like long hair anyway, so I'm biased anyway. He said with a smile. Though I like the way you styled it instead of just flat. It has character, like you. He said, giving her his honest compliment. Launch just smiled, moving over to a slightly blushing Bulma. See, what did I tell you, Blue? Naruto would notice and have a good compliment for you. Launch said with a grin. You really like it this way, Naruto? She asked, looking to the whiskered blonde. Do you know me to lie, Bulma? He asked her with a quirked eyebrow. No thanks, Naruto. That means a lot. She stated. See, now you don't have to cut it, Blue. Cut it? Naruto asked. Blue here said that if no one noticed her hair she was going to cut it into a short bob style. Launch said while hanging off of Bulma. But since you gave her a compliment, she won't have to do that now. Well, good to know that I saved her from that then. I like her hair. He said with a soft smile. Thanks, Naruto. I swear for a 14-year-old you treat me better as a woman than any other guy I know. Bulma spoke with a smile of her own, happy for the compliments. Not much of a 14-year-old with what I'd been through. He spoke aloud. He didn't realize his slip until after he said it, and had both women's eyes on him. Oh? What exactly have you been through, Whiskers? Launch asked. Her eyes narrowed a bit as she saw Naruto flinch. Bulma was looking at him just as Launch was, suspicious of what he meant by that. The way he said that and the look on his face, with how he was acting now and the other times he slipped. It's nothing. Anyway, I'm going to see how the others are. Thanks for the food, talk to you later. He called out as he grabbed his food and left the room quickly, obviously not wanting to talk about it, knowing that with Bulma and Launch now interested he wasn't going to get away with just a simple excuse either. Once he was gone, Launch turned back to Bulma. The hell was that about Blue? I'm not sure. He's made slips like that before. Comments that don't fit, or mean something else. Some questions I've asked he's really uncomfortable with, like his life back on his home planet. He'll only talk about a few people, hardly any friends. No girls he really likes far as I can tell. I don't think he likes his home much, or at least he doesn't have any good memories of his home. She stated, going on to describe each time he had a slip like this. You think he might have been treated badly? Launch asked, getting a nod from Bulma. Well, that explains why you're not just sending him home, but also giving him a ship of his own. She thought aloud. Halfway right, but you're not wrong, Bulma told her. Well, why not just invite him to live here then? Hell, why not at your place? Seems pretty comfortable around you and your family, Blue. Launch asked with a grin as she nudged Bulma's side. He's got a new adoptive mother and a few people there he cares for, though there are things I know he's not telling me. Bulma went on while biting her thumbnail. Then just corner him on the ship. He won't be able to run there. Besides, you're probably the only one he'll open up to here. So just do it there. Good idea. Well, let's go. Naruto's left the hospital now, so I doubt we'll get anything more out of him today. Bulma stated after sensing he was moving away from her position. Okay, seriously, I need to learn that ki energy stuff. It sounds damn useful. Launch went on and Bulma grinned at her. Oh, it is. I'll teach you like how Naruto taught me. I'm betting Chi-Chi will be learning it now too after what I did the other day. Bulma snickered as both women started talking about ki and its benefits alone, and how Bulma was still trying to combine her ki and magic to make chakra. Naruto sighed as he kept walking away from the hospital while trying to calm himself down. Why the hell did I panic like that? He asked himself as he walked, but knew the answer though did not want to admit to it. Doesn't matter. Just have to focus on the here and now. Let's see, I've got a few weeks to recover and train before we leave. I have a lot of work to do. He breathed out as he kept walking, thinking about what he was to do for the next few weeks. Time skipped 10 days later. The group overall was gathering at Capsule Corp where the Capsule Sphere ship is waiting for them. However, not everyone was at the ship. What are you doing, Bulma? Naruto asked, looking at Bulma from TH door to her room. What's it look like? I'm getting space ready. What about you, huh? Where's your suit? She barked out, panicking as she rushed about, though she snapped at him, which made him quirk an eyebrow. Sorry. My cycle started early. She apologized, trying to calm down. She was wearing the space suit she had made for the trip, though her hair was still long. She grabbed a pair of scissors and headed for her mirror. Whoa! What are you doing? Naruto spoke up, appearing behind her and grabbing the scissors. I need to cut my hair to fit my helmet, of course. I can't go into space and be unprepared after all. She stated as if it obvious. Naruto just sighed, taking the scissors from her and setting them down. He stood behind her and took handfuls of her hair before starting to braid it and tying it off with a tie. He set it around her neck over her shoulder. There, now you don't have to cut your pretty hair, he told her, smiling as he stepped away. Bulma took a minute to fiddle with the braid before smiling. Thank you, Naruto. That is so much better. She looked at the new braid in the mirror before looking to her suit. You know, I don't really need this suit. What was I thinking wearing it for takeoff? The ship is perfectly safe, she exclaimed as she started taking off the suit, revealing herself in just her bra and panties regardless of Naruto. BB Bulma. Naruto stuttered out while seeing her practically strip in front of him. HM? Oh, like you've never seen a naked girl before. Not only that, but you're a medic, for crying out loud. Besides, I think I owe you a bit for walking in on you multiple times already, she said offhandedly, while Naruto just smacked his forehead remembering the times she had walked in on him. Now come here and help me pick something out already, she ordered, and Naruto sighed as he walked over with her to her closet. They spent the next 20 minutes in that closet, Naruto being the objective male opinion for a very emotional and expressive Bulma as she tried on clothes left and right, asking his opinion and what he likes. She eventually repacked her bag and encapsulated her space suit before they headed out the room finally. Why by ramen did you feel the need to pack so many clothes? Sure, they look good, but we're going to be stuck in a ship and I don't think Namek has a great dating scene. Naruto asked only for Bulma to stick her tongue out at him. I like feeling pretty and we're taking the travel slow for testing and data, so we'll be plenty bored on the way. So it'll give me something else to do. She said, though left out the part of her giving him the third degree for answers. Alright. Though if you get bored we could just work on training your energies and see if we can make chakra, maybe even teach you how to fight, since with Chi-Chi learning how to harness ki from Goku and Gohan now, she'll be catching up to you quickly. How was Launch doing in her training? He asked. Doing good, she's taking to it like a natural, though she asked me to make a gun for her to use ki bullets. I don't think she can give up her guns even with superpowers now. But maybe you're right, learning to fight might give me more of an edge, and I do want to learn how to mold chakra or something like it. She stated. Well, we can work on that in the ship. That reinforced training floor will be seeing some major use while we're out. He stated as they walked out of the house to the backyard where the others were waiting. The others all gave them nods and smiles as they exchanged some small talk before walking up the boarding ramp. You three best take care of my son or I swear I'll beat you down myself. Chi-Chi called out, holding up a fist. Hey, no worries, this will be an educational trip, Shishi. What better way to learn about astronomy than to observe it directly? Can't get your facts wrong then. He told the woman, who blinked owlishly a few times. Huh. Didn't think about that. Well, be sure to study and observe a lot then, Gohan. The woman called out, much happier now, while Naruto gave Gohan the nice guy thumbs up, getting a smile in return. Alright, settle down and take a seat so we can lift off, Bulma told them as she took Captain's chair at the front. She pressed a few controls as they sat and fastened seatbelts. The ramp closed and soon the ship started to shake before it rose from the ground and took off like a bullet. Naruto huffed a bit, remembering this from the last time, as a bit of panic and anxiety returned from the memory. Naruto? Bulma asked, and he opened his eyes, seeing the other three looking at him. He was gripping the arms of his chair very tightly now. Sorry, just the first time in a ship wasn't all that great. He answered, and they nodded. Bulma touched his shoulder as he calmed, and he offered a smile. So, we got 30 or so days of travel to reach Namek. What do we do first? Well, Gohan and me, we going to head to the training floor to get some training in and pass the time. What about you two? Krillin asked. Maybe we'll join you or whatever she has planned? Naruto looked over to Bulma, who took up a thinking pose. Actually, there is something I want to talk to you about in private that didn't cross my mind back on Earth. Come on, follow me. She grabbed his wrist and pulled him along, literally dragging him as he looked to Gohan and Krillin, who gave him sympathetic looks. He sighed as they rounded a corner and soon was in her cabin space. Alright, you got me, so what's up? He asked, running a hand through his hair as he took a seat. You. She stated bluntly, her tone calling for no bullshit. What? He ached on edge now. Naruto. Am I a friend to you? She asked. Of course, Bulma, you've been nothing but a help to me. Not only have you and your father been working to get me home, but you also gave me an education I wouldn't. He stopped. But before he could say anything else to divert away her attention, she spoke. That right there, Naruto, is what I want to talk about. I want you to trust me as a friend, Naruto. Whatever this problem is you have, I want you to trust me enough to talk to me, open up and connect. I care for you, Naruto, you've been a good friend to me. Hell, you even share my addiction to ramen, and that's a first for me, so please let me in. She pleaded, trying to get through to Naruto, appealing to their friendship and his value of it. She could see the conflict in his eyes, the pain and fear. This wasn't what she usually saw in his eyes, and it frightened her to know that his bright blue eyes could ever be so dull and frantic as they are now. But that's I. He stammered, trying to back up a bit, but Bulma kept a key-enhanced grip on him. You don't have to hide, Naruto. Not from me, alright? I only want to help you, like you helped me when I had those nightmares. But you have to let me in to help you, okay? You're not alone. That did it. That last phrase triggered an emotional spike in Naruto that sent his control over his emotions tumbling as he stopped trying to pull away and rather leaned forward into Bulma. She pulled him into a hug, where he resisted, showing how affected he was. Do you really want to help me? He asked her, getting a soft yes from the brunette. Naruto heard a whisper from his mind, and without a second thought he reached up and touched her forehead with his hand. Naruto's mindscape. Bulma suddenly gasped as she found herself in a dimly lit hallway with water pooled on the floor. The overall look was similar to a sewer. Where am I? She asked. My mind. Came Naruto's voice, who was revealed when she turned to see him. Your mind? She asked, looking around. Our mind. Now spoke Yami, getting Bulma's attention. You're safe here, Bulma, we promise. But if you really want to help us, then this is the best way to start. Here you can review our memories directly, though to save time, we'll show you our key memories that explains everything. Yami explained. Yami? Naruto asked, looking to his alter self. You were going to explain everything anyway. I just don't want there to be any misunderstandings, Naruto. If you're going to do it right the first time. He explained himself. Bulma for her part was doing her best to keep her head from spinning, but as she was led by Yami, Naruto saw that they were headed to. We're starting there? He asked. We're better than the beginning, Yami replied. They continued to walk a little farther before coming to a hallway. Bulma, this is our first memory, the day of our birth. We'll explain things as they become relevant, but try to do your best to rein in your emotions until the end of show and tell. It's not going to be pretty. Do you think you can handle it? Yami asked, testing her resolve to do this. Bulma, if you want to stop now it's fine, I'll understand. Naruto. I said I'd help you and I will. Now shut up and show me the memories. I'll keep my cool to the end, I promise. She stated, before turning and walking down the hall. Naruto looked to Yami, who merely shrugged. Her choice. Guess we'll see how good a friend she is, he stated, looking back to Bulma as she opened the door. They stayed silent as she watched the memory play out of the day of his birth. They heard her gasp and other small sounds, but she didn't turn to them or say anything. Yami explained things as promised through hushed whispers. When that memory finished, Yami would wave his hand and Bulma would find herself in front of another door that she promptly opened. This went on for a good number of doors as she did her best to silently view each door. Naruto was nervous. This was happening too fast. He wanted to stop this. But when he went to reach out to Bulma, Yami stopped him with a hand on his shoulder, shaking his head no. But when he tried, Yami pulled him back and held him, covering his mouth. Naruto needed this more than he realized. Each memory showed pain, suffering, and abuse, including some of their worst moments, and the few good moments. Even showing Naruto's first meeting with Yami, talks with Kyuubi, and other moments that followed that showed her Naruto in his entirety. It was only when it was done that Yami released Naruto, but not before one final hand wave, where they appeared right in front of the Kyuubi's cage, where the Kyuubi bashed its hand and head right into the bars. Bulma! Naruto yelled as she jumped back, falling over herself from the surprise of seeing the Kyuubi in person. He skidded behind her, catching her as she fell, and she looked up to the Kyuubi. So. That's the Nine Tails. She breathed out, looking up at the Biju. Yep. Grumpy old fuck, ain't he? Yami quipped with a smirk. Shut it, Yami. I hear enough of your mouth as is. The Biju growled out. What's to? Sorry, Bulma, I agreed to show you the memories. What you do know is between you and Naruto. But bye. Yami called out, wiping his hand, and the two vanished. Once they were gone, Yami sighed, relaxing. You know, you can be a right ass sometimes, Kyuubi stated, looking over to Yami. Meh, it's a gift. Now we'll have to see how she reacts. I pulled this fast and hard, so we should get her true reaction rather than a fake one. He finished, taking a seat to watch what happens next. You think this will help the kit like you're wanting? The Nine Tails asked. I can only hope, for both our sakes. He stated, looking to his hand that while still solid, the skin tone was gradually becoming darker from the wrist to the fingers, and it was slowly crawling up the hand. Capsule ship Bulma's bedroom. Bulma and Naruto both gasped in air as they were brought back to their waking minds out of Naruto's mindscape. Naruto looked up to Bulma, who was looking around the room a bit wildly, taking in the fact that she was back after all she had just experienced. Then her eyes came back to Naruto's, focusing on his cerulean hues for a moment before he turned away. So now you know, that's my story, he stated as he tried to pull away, but Bulma held him still. Naruto, she soothed, pulling him into a strong hug that would break a normal person. She held him tightly, not letting him pull away and shut her out. She understood him now, what drove him, what he feared, what he experienced. While she could never relate to his experiences, she could support him, even if she had to do it by force so he couldn't close up again for fear of letting someone in close enough to hurt him. You're not alone. I'm here, okay? You'll never be alone if I have anything to say about it, she comforted. Naruto was stiff and tense, resisting partway through, but as she talked softly into his ear and the hug that kept him from leaving, he calmed and eased. Then as she kept on, his own arms circled around her, tightening before finally he was the one hanging on to her desperately. Her final words were what broke the dam as he broke down and just started to cry, years of pain and loneliness just coming out with no sign of stopping. Bulma smiled seeing he was letting out all the pain, but she felt guilty since she had forced this. She never imagined she would learn all this about Naruto, but knowing he'd been holding all of this pain with no release, she was glad she did force it. It was eating away at him. Rubbing his back, she didn't let go, not even as his sobs started to quiet down, nor when he went still and finally slumped against her. Looking down, she saw he cried himself to sleep, and now she was in pain. Her friend, granted her newest friend, but they had bonded quickly, had been hurting, and despite all his power, all that he was so frail and weak now. Here was the second strongest fighter she had ever known, and the most powerful assassin she'd met, who had wept like a child in her arms. But aside from her pain, she also felt anger, an intense fury directed at the source of her friend's pain and anguish. Konoha had been a literal hellhole for Naruto growing up, not to mention what he suffered through in just the last year alone before he left Element. A hand traveled to the right side of his back, pressing in on the skin where Sasuke's hand had exited out from his chest. She just continued to hold him as he slept, flying a bit to situate herself and Naruto better on the bed so they were both comfortable. She stroked his long blonde hair, smiling at him as she watched him sleep. "I promise, Naruto, I'll be there for you whenever you need me," she stated with determination. Looking up, she breathed. "Lights out," she called, and the room went dark as she settled in for sleep. She never recalled having slept so well before then. Next day, Naruto stirred a bit as he felt something under him shift and give, it as soft and warm. Resisting waking up, he hugged his arms tighter around his pillow, nuzzling into it for warmth and comfort in his sleep. He actually slept a little while longer before he stirred again, this time feeling a subtle rise and fall under him. Blinking away the crud from his eyes, he groaned as he looked around, mind still slow to remembering things. He recollected the night before, everything that happened, despite how he should feel apprehensive and anxious over the fact of what happened. He felt calm and lighter even. He then realized his sleep was truly restful as well. But as he finished the recollection, he realized he never left the room. Looking into the pillow he was still nestled into, it was a gray fabric, but it was rising and falling, with its face pressed into a really soft cushion. Realization hit him as he looked up to see sapphire eyes staring down into cerulean. "Slept well?" Bulma teased with a big grin. Naruto blinked before looking down again and really taking in where he was. He had slept with his head nestled right into her cleavage. Naruto's face went through a smooth transition of tan to a deep maroon red. She could literally see his eyes dilate, but before he could panic, she placed a hand to his jaw and made him look up at her. "Do you remember last night?" she asked, and though still blushing, he nodded numbly. "Do you still want to be friends with me? Even though I forced it?" she asked. Why would you ask that?" he asked, looking up at her as he moved to get up, but Bulma held him still. "I force you to talk to me, Naruto, to show me everything. That hurt you and I didn't want to do that." She spoke, keeping her gaze on his, their position be damned for the moment. "Bulma, of course you're still my friend. You're special to me, one of my precious people." "It did hurt," he started, and Bulma flinched, but now Naruto hugged her tighter. "But I think that I needed that. No one has ever done that for me." "Not even your mom?" she asked immediately, though cringed when she realized she did. But Naruto didn't seem to notice. "Mom has her own troubles, her own pain. I didn't want to burden her." "Stop. No! You are not doing that!" Bulma ordered, staring angrily down at Naruto. "Damn it, you are important, Naruto. You mean something and people care about you. When you hurt, they hurt. Your mother chose you despite everything that's happened, she chose you. She would gladly do this for you like I did because she cares about you. Do you hear me, Uzumaki? You are not a damn burden, so next time you see her you're to talk to her and open up to her, is that clear?" "Why, yes, ma'am," he sputtered, taken off guard by her assertiveness. He looked to her eyes before something clicked. "You care about me?" he asked. "Of course I do," she said, rubbing a hand over his cheek. "Like how you care for me, or how your mom cares for you. It's more than just simple friendship. You're precious to me. One of my precious people." She smiled down at him, pulling him up into a proper hug. "I promise, I'll be there for you whenever you need me, no matter how far I have to go to get to you. That's my promise of a lifetime." She spoke, smiling as she borrowed his words. Naruto hitched a moment before he returned the hug. "Thank you?" he breathed out into her ear, making her shiver, but she smiled. "You're welcome, Naruto." She held him. "You'll always have a home on Earth at Capsule Corp with me if you want it," she offered, something she thought of while he was still asleep. "Ah, really?" he asked, looking to her. "Yes, Naruto, you can have a life on Earth if you want it. Just give it some thought, alright?" she asked, and he nodded. "Good. Now let's go see Krillin and Gohan, we kinda vanished on them." Getting up once Naruto got up, she didn't hesitate to get changed right in front of him into fresh clothes. Naruto looked to her. Right now H was too emotionally charged and focused on what they had been talking about to care about her state of dress. "Hey, Bulma. Thanks for everything. Anytime, Naruto." She spoke as she pulled on a pair of spandex shorts and a tight tank with a low-cut neck and a high midriff that showed her stomach, pulling on wristbands and a pair of sneaker. "Hey, Naruto. Do you mind? She asked, pointing to her hair. Not at all, he said, walking up behind her and taking her hair the same way he did just before they left Earth. Bulma shivered a bit, enjoying the feel of his hands in her hair. How'd you get so good at braiding? She asked. Weaving, actually. Aside from pranks and training, I had to have something to occupy my alone time, so I just picked up some random stuff like weaving and knots with rope and other stuff just to occupy my time. He told her, finishing the braid, a French braid. It left her with light bangs that hung over her forehead and framed her eyes that then flowed into the braid that hung over her shoulder. Looking good, ready to work now, thanks. What other odd skills do you have? She asked as she stretched. Well, now you need to get dressed. I want to train a bit more now. She told him and he nodded. Leaving her room, they walked to his room where he changed out of his old clothes and got into a pair of shorts, a tank, and simple shoes, and like Bulma, he didn't care at this point about his state of dress with her. Hell, she'd already seen all of him anyway. Heading out for the training floor, they looked around to see it was a spacious area, a high ceiling, red stone tiled floor like a Tenkaichi ring. It was an open floor. In the center, Gohan and Krillin were currently sparring with each other, both of them wearing workout clothes similar to Naruto. Hey Bulma, hey Naruto. You're back. Finish that talk? Gohan asked. Naruto just smiled and nodded. Sure did, feel better that I got some stuff off my chest, he said, giving Bulma a look and his smile, which she returned. That's good. So you're gonna be training with us, Bulma? Krillin asked. Sure am. Can't let Shishi pass me up now, can I? Besides, there isn't much else to do on the ship since unless something goes wrong, everything is automated. It's nice being able to keep up with everyone now, for the most part, that is. She shrugged a bit. Anyway, what's first? She asked, and Naruto smiled as he took her to run through a calisthenics routine where he really pushed her before the energy exercises Kami helped him develop for ki and magic separately. Krillin and Gohan joined in on this, though like Bulma they struggled with magic. Tapping into magic seemed to be quite a difficult task if you didn't have a talent for it to begin. He still worked with them on magic regardless but didn't push it as hard as their ki training. Afterwards, they started teaching Bulma the basics on how to fight. All in all, Bulma's first day learning how to fight was actually very productive. So what do you think? Want to keep learning how to fight? Naruto asked while Bulma laid out on the floor panting. She flipped Naruto off, before she sat up. This is brutal. A bit, but it gets easier and it'll show results. You did really good, he said with a smile, which despite her fatigue couldn't help but return. I think I'll stick with it then, she muttered, scratching her cheek a bit. But I want a bowl of ramen from you soon though. I can do that. He smiled. Standing up, he stretched and smirked. We still got time. Take some time to rest, Bulma. Time for our workout now. Looking to Gohan and Krillin, they smirked and took stances of their own before they started in with an intense sparring match. Bulma watched on in amazement as the boys sparred with one another at intense speeds that she just couldn't follow. Unfocus your eyes, Bulma. Watch for the bursts of light our bodies give off rather than trying to follow us directly, Gohan told her, passing along Piccolo's words. Bulma blinked before she tried doing that, suddenly finding she could follow the boys now. Naruto was holding them both of, showing that he was the stronger of them on the ship. Thus this became part of their routine on the ship for the next month in travel, days filled with training, talking and learning as Bulma picked back up on educating Naruto, Gohan taking part to show for his effort to his mom. Krillin shared his Destructo Disc technique and they all swapped skills and techniques a bit to really train them up. However, one thing became abundantly clear was Bulma's lack of shame as she walked around the ship in just her underwear when she wasn't wearing her workout clothes. Something that caused Naruto a headache, but he gave up trying to correct it. Bulma was Bulma. So you reign to be a ninja, an assassin, but you're also a fighter like us. However, now you're also a medic. You can heal people? Gohan asked Naruto one day after a tough training session. That's right. Kami insisted I learn how to heal and I'm glad he did, Naruto stat. What about it though? Well, you're learning from Bulma about pretty much everything she knows, but since you can heal, why not learn to be a doctor for real? Mom has always been pushing me on what to learn for my future. A doctor is one of the ones she keeps coming back to. Gohan spoke and Naruto thought on that a moment. I'll think about it, but what about you? What do you want to do with your future? You could learn to be anything. Hell, with ki and now a thimble of magic in you, they'll help your development and ability to learn, so you can learn more than regular people. But is that what you want? He asked, making Gohan think. Well, I like fighting, but I also like learning all this different stuff, plus it makes Mom happy, he stated. Then do both. I'm sure you can figure out a way to do it. I'm sure Bulma will help too, he spoke up, getting the Blue Ned's attention. Sure will. It's a new field of study on how to quantify ki and magic. You become a scientist and still interested, we can work on it together. I'm more of a tech and machines gal, so you might have to be the one to really explore the field if you do. Sound good? She asked, kneeling in front of the boy. Yeah. That means I can do both things and enjoy it too, he explained, and the three older people all smiled. After that they got back to training, Bulma as really making headway into her training. Already she was achieving a certain level of skill that is surprising, but she described it as a super logical approach of physics applied to combat. Taking inspiration from a certain fictional private seemed to work for her, so all he did was teach her the proper way to punch, kick and all that with plenty of sparring. The training was certainly having an effect on improving her physique and altering her looks. Her body had more definition, was slimmer, tighter, and showed muscle here and there. Naruto was now having some difficulty with certain reactions around Bulma. She was attractive before, but now she was smoking hot, and the way she kept her long hair too. He shook his head to banish those thoughts as he got back to training himself. So the routine carried on, and in short order, there were no making final preparations to approach and land on Namek. Naruto breathed as he felt out his senses, letting the others he possessed take over and edge out through the darkness that rendered his eyes useless. The fight on Earth had been his wake-up call. He had failed in doing as he was trained to and what he trained for. He was an assassin, and he trained to not be so ultimately useless like he was in the fight with ever since. He'd been training differently. Even when his use of chakra was shot to shit, he went back to basics, starting with his old pranks and trapping skills, moving on to basic running, evasion, stealth, disguise, shadow melding, you name it. Any skill he had before or should have had as a ninja, he polished. When he got the use of his chakra, he figured into training back his foundational skills, getting reacquainted with his old tricks, deception tactics, even goes so far as to make transformed clones to replay out old scenarios from memory. He had other clones watching, including the first fight with Zabuza, his most elaborate pranks, and various other fights, and seeing his old tactics to improve on. Zabuza, however, became a big influence with his next level of development, silent killing. He ever would have thought he'd be making use of that skill or that he'd have to train in it at all, yet here he was. To move silently, killing without a noise, regardless whether you can see yourself or not. Then there was Zabuza's Kenjutsu. He didn't know what it was called, but it had a lot of circular movements, not a lot of sudden stops or starts unless you hit the target. The sword kept moving, and the swings were always strong and far-reaching with arms fully extended, like a tidal wave. Emulating that with what Kenjutsu skill he did have was a pain, but it paid off to his eyes. Though he also trained with what tricks and cantrips he could do with the sword and saya itself. Like right now, he held the sword in reverse grip behind his back to guard the area with his right hand, while his left hand was raised at ready in front of himself holding the saya in right-up grip. His eyes were closed as he felt them out with his other senses. The various clones he had in the training room with him, all set on attacking him. Some were suppressing their power to hide from him but allowed their movements to be heard, others were silencing their movements but allowing their power to be felt, others were either allowing both or allowing neither, all to confuse his senses and increase his awareness, and train his flick twitch, or knee-jerk responses. A clone wielding the sword came in, his power masked. He heard the taps of feet on the floor, the rustle of clothes, quickness of breath. Ducking and rolling to the side, he spun as he got to his feet and stood, swinging the reverse grip sword out and cutting across the body of the clone, dispersing it. Changing pose, he held the saya low at his side, bring the right with the sword held standard grip now in front of him. Another came, this one has just the power revealed, and he moved out of range, feeling the wind off the blade passing in front of his chest, before stepping in with a return slash, decapitating the clone. The memories returned and he knew he got it. Breathing, he knew for sure there was 7 more. He evaded as 3 suddenly rushed him, ducking, dodging and weaving away from sword swipes in succession before he went low and cut low and circular, getting legs before he struck one he knew for sure, rolling out away, then cutting another, as he rose. The last of the 3 he clashed with, locking blades, before he used the pressure of the bind to his advantage and guiding his sword to thrust into the chest, dispersing the 3 that rushed him. Breath came as he focused, grimacing. He identified 2 for sure, the other 2 were completely hidden. Those 2 were using the obvious ones as diversionary covers. So he pulsed his power, using the echolocation technique from Irika, and detected all 4. He smirked a bit. Suppressing power may keep them from his passive sense, but not from active detection like the echolocation technique provided. This time he went on the offensive, as he killed all his nose and suppressed his power. He could hear his clones shuffle at the loss of their target. An obvious and hidden clone pair dispersed as a thrown blade similarly to Zabuza did decapitate them before he reappeared behind the clones catching the blade and saya. He intercepted 2 attacks from the last 2 clones before backstepping to disengage pressure, so their follow-throw made them stumble, and he slashed forward into them. The last of the clones dispersing, He suddenly turned and blocked a strike from an additional clone. They created a surprise tactic, having just barely sensed it before a decapitation ended it. Breathing, he snapped his fingers and the lights came out, showing him alone in a red-tiled floor training room. Nodding, he sheathed the sword and pushed it into his sash. Blade work and silent killing is good. Now on to technique work. He breathed out, forming a new set of clones and getting to work. Several of the clones sparred, trading offense and defense, testing various patterns and methods he'd been thinking of, while he worked his array of techniques. Forming a Rasengan in his hand, he stared at the blue sphere of spiraling power. He had come to a conscious decision when he decided to use the Rasengan as the basis for his projected energy attacks. The Rasengan was his most fundamental pure energy manipulation attack, and by itself it was powerful. The internal spirals of energy gave it the backbone of power it had, and that was something he wanted to incorporate into all of his following energy-based attacks. The Rasenhamaha, for starters, was his first adaptation and combination. It gave the signature energy wave attack a drilling and grinding force the original didn't, and while difficult to control, he was already intimately familiar with this trait in the normal Rasengan, so he had it handled. That allowed him an edge, normally. Against a superior opponent who just had the raw power, those same internal rotations that gave it power, instead of being countered and blasted apart, lent itself to being turned, hence how it turned back on him rather than just being overwhelmed and destroyed. A lesson learned. Now he was adapting the Rasengan to two new techniques. A bomber sphere similar to the Genki-Dama, and now the Kienzan. Granted, he was gonna add Rasen in front of those names so they'd know they were distinctly his, while Krillin taught him the essentials of the attack. Looking at the Rasengan, he breathed as he willed the shell to flatten and spread out, the internal spirals at first resisting the change before they too flattened out. The spirals followed their rotation, aligning together, creating power as different speeds of internal rotations layered over one another and pressed against the forming edge of the disc, sharpening it. It was small at first, best for safety that way, but as he formed the disc, as flat as possible, he could hear the distinctive whirring of the Rasengan literally sharpen. Floating just above his hand, he thought a moment before a clone produced, and he used it as a test dummy, slashing with the disc, and the clone knew no more, feeling the held disc cut through him. The memories came back and he nodded. Rasen Kienzan success. Well, as best as he could. He wasn't going to throw it on a ship in space. Dispersing the disc, he creating another Rasengan. He had never attempted to throw a Rasengan before. Another clone was created and he smirked as he took a ready stance opposite of him. Ready to go, boss. It called and he nodded. He pushed more chakra into the Rasengan, forming an excited layer of chakra over the containing shell. The shell contained all of the internal rotations which gave it power, but also stabilized its movement, and actually resisted movement to a degree. Probably why it was so damn hard to throw it. The additional layer of chakra, excited because it literally wanted to move, took care of that, and he threw it at the clone whose hands were coated in chakra. The Rasengan flew true, the additional layer of chakra forming an energy trail behind it. The clone caught it with their hands, the identical chakra linking with the sphere and allowing it to be caught safely. The clone breathed and nodded, before sending it back and the original catching it the same way. Probably don't even need to rename it, boss, it's just an additional chakra layer is all. Hell, even Aerosenin can do this with regular chakra. We'll be sure to drop that hint to him next time. Being able to throw the Rasengan will help him out, I'm sure. Maybe he can set the outer layer on fire? He spoke and the clone shrugged before it dispelled. That was another thing, he had worked out a deal with Kami that, while he couldn't teach them his power, he could allow them to adapt techniques if they could. Like the solar flare would be infinitely useful, not to mention a few others. It was a compensation and bargaining tool he could use when he got home in case he needed to. Sighing, he dispersed the rest of his clones, getting back the collective memories of them all. Again they were encountering the problem of plateauing, the energy just wasn't growing. Is it a problem with the balance of ki to magic? Shouldn't be I'd been careful to practice both training methods to develop my ki and magic. Maybe it's control? Most of my training has been focused on using my chakra like Ki. So maybe I really need to work on my magic. Then there's the seal too. He spoke aloud as he thought, scratching his head as he groaned. This was a pain in the ass. I'll have to deal with it later. Deal with what later? He turned to see Bulma standing in the doorway to the room, looking at him. She was dressed in her usual for the past month, her training attire. The tight spandex shorts that barely covered any of her thighs, low-cut, high midriff tank top that hugged her chest, sneakers, ankle socks, and wristbands. He had to swallow a bit of the lump that formed looking at her. She was attractive before, but the month of hard training, physically with active ki in her system, really just gave her a. He had to shake the thoughts from his head. Ever since he had that encounter with the Karina woman. Actually probably that hot springs incident, he was thinking of these things. Just that carrying a woman gave him a first-hand experience that really just made him think about it a lot. Didn't help that she didn't care if he saw her in her bra and panties, medic or not, he was still a hot-blooded young man, and trapped in a ship with that he couldn't help but react. I've plateaued again. I don't understand what's wrong, I should be growing stronger. But instead of seeing growth and results, it's just getting harder and harder. Hell, if I didn't know better I'd almost say I was losing power. But that's not it. If it were, I could work on figuring out what's causing it. It's driving me up a wall, he said, running a hand through his long hair. He felt a pair of hands on his shoulders. He turned to look to see Bulma behind him. You'll figure it out. I know you will. For now, just focus on what you do have. Besides, we shouldn't need to fight on Namek. King Kai told us that the Namekians are peaceful by nature. So no fighting. She told him, yeah, I guess you're right. Just it's irritating that the problem is there, to begin with. I know, but you'll get it. Before she started rubbing his shoulders. Relax, you're too tense. Come here and sit, she said, guiding him down to the floor where they sat, and she worked her hands on his shoulders, not holding back on the key strength to work the muscles. To think you used to be shorter than me. You're growing like a wee. Here soon you'll be as tall as Goku. Not to mention the muscle you're packing on. Girls back on your planet will be swooning over you, she said with a teasing grin he could hear in her voice. Humph, if they can get over their Sasuke fangoshness, that is. He commented but leaned into her hands as she worked out the knots. This honestly felt good. Most of the girls my own age were harping on his dick like it was made of gold, yet he never gave them the time of day. Was he gay? She asked seriously. Maybe. But then again, he was also probably too mentally unstable and obsessed with Itachi, who killed his clan. Ever since I started learning about medicine and the healing arts, I've noticed things like that. Sasuke shouldn't have been an active duty ninja with that kind of mental trauma. Anyway, he spoke, banishing the thoughts, not wanting to focus on Sasuke of all things right now. Bulma was still working his shoulders, so he focused on that. She was spreading her ki into the touch which felt divine. What about Hinata? I saw her in your memories, she's got a thing for you. She probed. Maybe. I just never saw Hinata in that way like I used to see Sakura. He stated. Used to? She asked, quirking an eyebrow as she moved her hands to his back. Yeah? I might have been ignorant of it before, but I know better now. Thanks in large to everyone who taught me things, you included. He commented and sighed blissfully as the kinks were being worked out. Sakura was. Well, no way around it. She was abusive and didn't think twice to take out her frustration on people. Me more often than not. I'm still having trouble believing I let her do that. You had a crush on her, and wasn't very well, as bright as you are now. Be surprised what you're willing to endure when your feelings are involved. She stated, and he nodded, getting it now. Alright, so if not a girl your own age, what about a woman? You may have more luck with an older woman, plus they'll know a thing or two, she teased, and he turned to look at her. What? Speaking from experience? He asked with a grin and got a light smack on the back of his head in return, but caught the blush on her cheeks. Oh, shut up, she muttered before she pressed onto a difficult spot that made his shoot-up ramrod straight. Nerve? Ow. He whined a bit. That wasn't nice. He got up and stretched a bit. Aside from hitting that nerve, that was nice. Thanks. So I guess you were up here to train? He asked. I was, yeah. But you're avoiding the question. She inquired and looked at him. He thought about it and sighed. I don't know. Maybe? I mean, older women are more mature, actually, know what they want, don't judge as quick as a younger girl does. Better developed. Sounds like you got an idea what your preferences are now. She smirked as she started stretching, drawing his eye to her. Yeah. He mumbled weakly before actually shaking his head. Mind sparring with me? She asked, and he nodded. Sure. He spoke, taking a stance. She did the same. Her ready stance was a relaxed generic one, but he found her way to fighting was actually very well though. She quite literally scienced the hell out of it. Angles, velocity, leverage, used to estimate and predict and then react as needed. She based it on a certain fictional private eye detective, and it worked for her. He engaged with an advancing right kick to midsection, which she stepped in closer to him and blocking with his arm, to half the power of the kick at the knee/thigh area to block at the same time punching with her right fist to his abdomen, which he intercepted and pushed away, getting in closer with an elbow to her gut. The hit went in, but she backed up and huffed, rubbing it away. He had to say he was proud of her progress. She may not be a frontline fighter, but she could more than hold her own. She came in with a rushing feint, trying to make him expose an opening by guarding one area. He met her feint instead with an attack, to receive a counter from her left arm, crossing an elbow to his jaw that he took and rattled his head just a little. He may be taking it easy, but the woman could get it in there, Could she ever pack a punch behind it? She didn't let her offense go to waste as she crossed her leg over his to keep him rooted and then laid in a few kidney punches. He tightened his root before twisting the leg and trapping her, striking at her chest and head, just to miss the head on the second punch. She didn't shy away from fighting at all as she attempted to bring her other knee up to his gut. But he caught it in his hands and pulled her off balance. She kept her other leg around his and pulled, both ending up on the floor now. They tussled for control until he grabbed her arms and pushed down, straddling her while his legs wrapped around her knees to hold her still. "Pindia," he called with a smirk as he leaned down to look at her. "Yeah." She spoke breathily, looking up at him. The room was silent aside from their breathing, and he didn't know why, but he just couldn't break eye contact with her. Bulma though had a good idea what was happening. And honestly, she didn't really oppose it. Her questions earlier had been to gauge him, and she wasn't disappointed in the slightest. This was her friend, probably her best friend, regardless if he was a guy. No, not a guy. Most of the people she knew as guys were irresponsible. Despite whatever age he really was, he was a young man. And she was attracted to that. Naruto could see it in her eyes, something there, but he just couldn't tell what it was. He might be smarter and more educated, but he still just didn't know some things like how to recognize things in others. But whatever it was, he was drawn in and didn't even realize he was leaning in closer. Bulma held her breath. She could feel his breath on her lips and it sent tingles throughout her body. Her dating life may be chaotic, but she'll be damned before she hides how she feels about anyone. So when he began to lean in, she did the same. She felt literal sparks as she pressed her lips to his. It was chaste, but she kept the connection and closed her eyes, enjoying the feeling. Naruto's senses ignited in flames when he first felt her lips on his. Everything was firing off, telling him what this was, and when he at first froze, unsure of what to do, he felt a push from the back of his head and leaned in, taking in the sensation, and felt him ease into it. He breathed through his nose as he loosed his grips on her and continued the contact. He felt her hands moved and snake around his neck and through his hair, while he lowered himself on top of her, some kind of instinct telling him to wrap his arms around her waist. His weight should have felt smothering on top of her, but she wanted the pressure as she pulled him in closer, feeling his arms around her waist. She opened her lips and ran her tongue across his lips, asking for permission, and he opened his mouth, her tongue darting in. It wasn't any kind of dominant struggle, but exploration as her tongue explored her mouth, which prompted him to do the same in turn. Naruto could honestly say he enjoyed this. On some level he knew he liked this immensely. Which was why he didn't fight the feeling to continue or go further. He felt her body heat from her tight body pressed up against his as he laid over top of her, felt her chest rise and fall against his. As his tongue explored her mouth, his hands meandered a bit, following a natural curve from her waist before they found her rear and gave it a squeeze. Bulma moaned into the feeling, not expecting that, but not hating it as made her press her body upward into his, feeling his body tighten against hers at the contact. No doubt her work in loosening him up gone to waste, but she wasn't complaining. She broke the kiss, trailing her lips over his cheek and whiskers, before trailing down his jaw, feeling his shivers before she settled on his neck, her hands finding grips in his hair and giving it a slight tug to give her access to his neck, savoring the squeeze his hands gave. Naruto breathed heavily once his mouth was free, but the shivers running through him, then the tug to his neck being assaulted elicited a groan. But he returned it with a hard squeeze as he adjusted his legs. She pulled her legs up so he was between her legs now. Pressing together at the lower body, they both voiced it through throaty groans as she bit down, and he found just enough stretch to get his lips and teeth over her earlobe, nibbling on the soft flesh as his right hand wandered up and to her chest, feeling a new softness with a stiff center his thumb toyed with, earning quivering moans. She coiled her legs around his waist to bring that contact in closer as she rolled her hips slowly, one hand taking a page from Naruto's hands and scratching through his shirt down his back until it found tight, curved muscle and gripped, getting a low groan and squeeze in return. She may not have been expecting this, but she was enjoying it just the same. Naruto was of the same mind as he pressed in before he decided to take the next movement, and his lips moved from her ear to her neck, where he latched on like she had and sucked on it, her throaty moans vibrating his lips. Both were hot and into this, and not even paying attention anymore. "What are you two doing?" was the mood-shattering sound that broke them apart as they saw Gohan standing in the doorway yawning while rubbing his eye. Some kind of instinct took over and they separated faster than light could move and stood. "Ugh, and nothing, Gohan. What did you need?" he asked, sweating bullets while Bulma wasn't any better. "Well, I was heading up to the kitchen for water when I heard noises." "Well, go on and get your water. Naruto and I were, sparring. Practicing ground grappling." "Oh, okay then." He spoke and left, leaving them in the silence of the training room. "That was awkward," Bulma finished for the blonde, scratching her cheek a bit. "Ground grappling? Really?" he asked, for the moment ignoring the elephant in the room. It was the first thing I could think of. First time I've had to hide what I was doing before from anyone, she remarked, a little indignant over her answer being picked on. Naruto just snickered a bit. She was cut flustered like that. And there was that now, so. He started, trying to think of where to start. You and me, yeah. I'll be honest, I'm not the best girlfriend out there. Yamcha can attest to that. And while he may not be exactly faithful, I'm no angel there either, maybe a bit worse, but I don't hide it. She spoke, fidgeting a bit as she looked away from Naruto, admitting her faults was nerve-wracking enough. Saying she had these problems stung, but she didn't want to lie to him. She felt he needed to know this before getting into anything with her, that she might hurt him. As much as she felt sick for admitting that she might. But I don't lie about how I feel. I can't make any promises about anything, that I might not screw up badly, Eve, or that I'll be the best, and I don't want you to either. I know you got to head back to Element, that someone there might catch your eye, but if you're willing to come back to Earth, for whatever reason, I'll be waiting, even if things change, I think, if you want it. Just for now, while you're still here, she was cut off. I'll be here, he said, stepping a bit closer to her. So what is this then? He asked her. Well, you could say we're kinda dating. I can't say for sure where this will head. But you've been there for me, helped me and supported me. You're my best friend and I am attracted to you. She spoke, calmer and more direct about her feelings than she's ever recalled being before. I know a lot about you now, but I do want to know more. You're one of my precious people. And she found a finger on her lips and heard chuckling, looking up to see Naruto smiling down at her with that heart-melting smile that turned her legs into jelly that she never admitted that it did just that. You're rambling, he told her, stepping in closer, and she felt very small before him, yet as his arms wrapped around her, she felt safe. I know you're not perfect. I accept that, because you know how damaged I am, and accept it. Yami showed me that about myself before, but I never dealt with it until you forced it. He stated, holding her close. If you can accept me, all of me, my damage and problems, then I can accept all of you, even your flaws and problems. I've never done anything like this, so. He trailed off, thinking of how best to go about this. Yet again, Iam's girl Bible to the rescue. One step at a time? He asked. Bulma looked up at him before she smiled and nodded, tucking her head into his chest as he tightened his arms around her. She felt safe and warm there. She eased into the touch and sighed as she kept the contact for a little while longer. One step at a time then. She spoke, before pulling away. She smiled up at him before she leaned up, on her tiptoes, and gave a soft kiss to his lips that he returned and then pulled away. We'll be approaching Namek here soon. Might want to get some rest, she told him, pushing away from him with a smirk as she walked out, purposefully swaying her hips as she walked out. He fell straight to his ass once he was alone, and had to think about what just happened. Damn, he muttered to himself, as he really just considered what he was now a part of. But remembering that moment together, from start to when she just let, he smiled. She might not be perfect, but I can accept that, he said before getting back to his feet. He left the training room, passing her room before he went to his own, and stripped down to get some sleep. Hours later, their time on the ship was coming to a close as they each geared up and got ready. While they expected the Namekians to be peaceful, Piccolo painted a picture worth being prepared for. As such, Naruto was wearing an identical GI to what he had before in the fight with Vegeta and Nappa, now a sword on his hip. Gohan wore the GI style Piccolo did, while Krillin wore the standard Kame-Sennin GI. Bulma wore a set of black leggings, a white tank top, vest, and strapped boots. We're finally here, Gohan called out, smiling as he looked through the main viewport. Sure are. It's a little hard to believe we've managed to really come all this way. It's a good thing you came along, Naruto. Otherwise, things would be different, Krillin said, much to Naruto's confusion. We'd have likely had to have used an old Namekian ship we'd have to jury-rig to fly here, Bulma stated, looking over the controls. And I probably would have been a mess of nerves snapping on these two all the time. And not where I am now, she mumbled to Naruto, who was sitting beside her, who gave her a smile and nodded to her, grabbing her hand and giving it a squeeze. She returned the smile before getting back to her instruments for final approach. All right, boys, buckle up, we're coming in, she called out to the two, who quickly took their seats. They watched as they came in, the brief bit of fire upon re-entry before they saw the view of the horizon. It was a beautiful sight in the high atmosphere. Then they came to land and it was a soft touchdown. All right. We're touched down. Let's see, check the atmosphere for oxygen. Sit. Bulma blinked and looked up to see Gohan and Krillin walking for the main exit hatch, Naruto still sitting. She said she needs to check for oxygen. You don't want to suffocate yourselves, and we do you? He asked the two of them, and they gave a sheepish smile before sitting back down. He sighed and looked back to Bulma, who smiled at him. I see what you meant about not enough fighters on Earth with smarts a year ago. He spoke and the boys just looked away. Now you see my frustration. Seriously, it's like watching a bunch of children. Gohan I forgive since he's a kid and curious. Krillin ought to know better though. She spoke, narrowing her eyes at the man who just whistled innocently. See, you're properly educated and have some common sense. Learn from him, Krillin. You too, Gohan. Muscle can't be the answer to everything. Alright, I think you've scolded them enough. Come on, we got to find the Dragon Balls. Naruto spoke up and she sighed before finishing the computer analysis. Alright, we got breathable O2, acceptable levels for humans, though it'll be a little thinner, and the rations are a bit off from Earth. So some shortness of breath, nothing detrimental. Gravity is a little higher, about 2 past Earth, so barely noticeable, but enough to throw you off a little till you adjust. Localized life signs, just as King Kai said. We're good. Finally, Krillin said, but got a glare for his trouble. However, they finally opened up and walked out. Bulma was right. The air was just a little harder to breathe, but not bad. It was a serene environment, alright. Not a bad place to vacation to, just by the looks of it. Krillin, we're not tourists, we're here for a reason. Bulma exasperated, however, she felt a poke on her side and looked at Naruto. I dunno. A foreign exotic planet, find a nice stretch of beach, camp right out on the sand, enjoy the ocean and surf. Lay out with swimsuits, enjoy ourselves? He said with a teasing grin while he winked at her, making her blush just a little at the idea he put in her head. Anyway. She stuttered slightly, pulling out the dragon radar and clicking her scouter. Link up scouters, boys, it will allow us free communication in case we need to split up. I've also linked the radar to our scouters so we can access it whenever we need to. She cut herself off as she spotted a terrifying sight. A Saiyan space pod. What? Krillin shouted, looking at the pod as it crashed down in the distance. Mask your energies now. Krillin ordered, and no one needed to be told twice as they reduced their energies, though Bulma had the most trouble as the newest to this. A few words from Naruto had her calmed and she followed through. Vegeta? Naruto spoke aloud and Krillin nodded. Has to be, he was the only one who knew about Piccolo being Namekian. But how did he heal so quickly? He spoke. Well, they have space pods, not too far-fetched, they may have medical technology as well. But that doesn't much matter. We've got new problems now, and we need to get our asses in gear. Naruto stated as he pulled his sword to a more ready position, tightening his gear. Let me go call home so we can tell the others, that way they know the situation. Bulma voiced as she headed up to the ship to get on. The three stayed outside and continued to speak a moment. Now that we know they're here, we'll need to keep our power masked as much as possible. Gohan, think you can manage that? Krillin asked and got a nod. Naruto, I'm good to go, he stated, palming the handle of his katana, getting a nod in return. Krillin still remembered how sharp that damn sword was. Remind me to find a weapon of my own one of these days, Krillin spoke and he nodded. You guys feel that? He asked. The mass of dark ki east of us? Naruto asked, getting a nod. I kinda thought I was misjudging it. He spoke, tapping his scouter and pulling up the radar. Ugh, we got a problem. There's a group of Dragon Balls over that way, he said, and the others gulped at what that probably meant. Guys, someone's coming. Gohan spoke up and Krillin and Naruto turned at the ready. Is it Vegeta? Doesn't feel as strong as him, so it can't be, Krillin said, and they watched as two aliens stepped around the boulder. It was a tense few moments, unable to hear what they were saying until they came closer. PFT, just some tourists. Picked the wrong time to come here. Start with the ship, no one is to escape the planet. Right. The swamp monster reject of the two spoke, leveling some kind of device on his arm at the ship. A mass of adrenaline dumped into his system. Bulma was still in there. Pushing chakra down to his feet and out, an accelerated jump put him in the path. The alien fired and Naruto drew his katana in a draw cut from the saya, slicing the energy blast in two that split off to the sides harmlessly away from the ship. What? The horned Oni impersonator shouted before the boy disappeared from his sight. They never saw Naruto passing between them, now how the swamp reject's head fell from his shoulders, or the pommel strike with the sword handle to the back of the Oni reject's skull, knocking him out. Grabbing the bodies, he tossed them to the ground and caught the head before it hit the water, freeing it of its scouter. Tossing the head into the water, he came back down to the ground, masking his power once more. And Naruto, that was cleaner and quicker than he deserved. Naruto ended for bald earthling who stuttered out before he pursed his lips. Gohan seemed stunned by the action, sure he'd seen people die before. But decapitation was a new one, you only killed one. Gohan noticed, looking to the horned alien, who Naruto was now field stripping of gear the same as the headless corpse. Taking off the scouter, arm blaster, armor, gloves and any other equipment they had. A clone took the gear onto the ship, they could examine it all later. We have hostiles we know nothing about that are wearing the same armor as Vegeta, we need information. It's like I said before the last big fight. It's a dirty job, but every last scrap of information could be used to keep us alive, he finished, taking out a spool of wire and binding his arms and legs. This was wire he had asked Bulma for tested to his level of strength before they left to update his gear. Looking up, they saw another space pod and grimaced. Great, another one, inside the ship. Bulma, you finished with that call? The clone asked as he dropped everything into a storage locker, making sure the scouters were turned off. Yeah, just finished. Something happened? She asked, getting up. We just got attacked by 2 scouts. I killed one and the boss is going to interrogate the one he left alive for information. You need to make a decision, stay or go? We can manage without you if you go, but you'll have to book it double time. Like hell, I'm not leaving you here to deal with Cammy knows what while I run off like a coward. I did not work on helping you and confessing to you just to leave your ass in the dust. Go it. She practically shouted at him, and he just blinked before he smiled down at her. Figures the woman who manages to get through to me is just as stubborn and hard-headed as I am. That's right, HUI. MMM in agreement with a smirk before she realized what he said about her, an indignant yell that was silenced by a meeting of lips and arms around her. She melted into the contact. Honestly, she could get very used to this. Phew, if I knew you'd be this affectionate, I'd have done this sooner. She breathed and he smiled. It feels good, so I want to keep doing it if that's okay? Of course, Naruto, she said, putting a hand on his cheek while he leaned into the touch. So I guess we gotta get a move on then? Yeah. I stripped the bodies of their armor, scouters, and weapons. We can analyze them later. Scouters are turned off. Can we capsulate this ship? He asked. We originally designed this one for you. We made sure it could, so yeah. Good. They tried to take out the ship. I'm gonna send a clone with a scroll to go find those pods and seal them up just in case we need a bargaining chip or backup plan. Grab anything you need, he told her, and she nodded, running out of the cockpit and down to the rooms and storage area, the clone following her and grabbing some of Naruto's stuff as well as some general supplies, sealing them into some of the spare scrolls in the room before making their way out. Bulma capsulated the ship while the clone passed the scrolls to the original before dispersing, smokeless. Getting the memories, he nodded, but his eyebrow twitched. Damn clone getting one up on him. He tossed up 2 empty scrolls and 3 clones formed, keeping the energy as low as possible. They weren't fighting after all. You two, go grab the pods. You, stay here and interrogate him. You know what to do, he said, and 2 clones nodded, grabbing the scrolls out of the air and running off, across the water and jumping when needed, keeping energy low as they moved towards the pods. The last clone smirked as he walked over to their prisoner. Alright, let's get out of here. I'll learn everything from my clones in due time, he stated, and they all ran off, each of them carrying a pack of supplies with them as they pushed themselves as hard, but with as little energy as they could. Holding up Bulma? He asked her, and she nodded. All good here, Naruto. I couldn't imagine what this would be like without Ki. She spoke though heard a grumble from Krillin. Care to repeat that, cue ball? She asked threateningly. Nothing. Your hair is nice, he pleaded, but she huffed and looked to the side. It took him 5 weeks to notice, really? She grumbled, and Naruto snickered. Hey, Krillin? Gohan spoke as they kept moving, eyes peeled for any threats. Sup, aren't you the oldest experienced fighter here? I mean, don't the older experienced ones usually lead and give orders? Gohan asked, looking over to Naruto. That's. The bald fighter spoke before he sighed. I am, but of the 4 of us, Naruto is the only one with military training of any kind. If we had handled that like we normally would, we'd have probably just knocked those 2 guys out and let them drown in the water. The ship would be busted and we'd be on a creek without a paddle pretty much. Naruto saved the ship, is getting us information and snagging those 2 pods. None of us would have thought like that. Besides, it's not about who's leading, just that we're in a bad situation, so we're making the best decisions we can to survive and get what we came for. If you have questions or you're worried, then ask them. Understand? Got it, that makes sense. So no one's really leading, just who's got the best know-how and what to do at the moment. Gohan surmised. Yeah, pretty much, Krillin spoke with a sheepish grin, though the sweat on his brow and his sullen expression when he turned away spoke volumes. But he's a child soldier and been fighting intense fights of his own, so he might as well be the leader. I wanna cry. Damn it, Naruto, you best get me a good girl when we get back to Earth. I will, Naruto said, casting a Cheshire grin to Krillin, who paled before he smacked his hand on his face. Telepathy, right? What's up? Bulma asked, but Naruto waved it off. Nothing, nothing. You guys see anywhere good? Naruto asked. There looks like a cave in that rock face. It might be big enough. Gohan spoke, pointing to it. They nodded and moved toward it, looking around. It had plenty of room inside. Well, it's a dingy cave, but at least it's big enough to open a capsule house in. Let's. Bulma froze, as did the others, as they all sensed a massive power approaching. They all scrambled into the cave wordlessly. The closer it got, though, the more shaken they all got, no exception. However, by standards, Bulma was still the worst off as she was shaking. Naruto pulled her into him and held her as he pressed up against the cave wall. They all saw the group passing by, and when they saw the one in the machine second from the front, their dread washed over them like a wave as they felt the power and its dark intent. Once they passed by, they all started to calm and breath easier, but Bulma was still terribly shaken as she collapsed and Naruto caught her, sliding down to the floor and cradling her against his body, rubbing her back and whispering to her ear. That was intense. Vegeta doesn't even compare to that. Krillin spoke through gritted teeth as he stared out from the cave. And did you see what they had in their arms? Yeah. Dragon balls. But they were huge. Gohan spoke, amazed that the Namekian Dragon Balls were different from Earth's. Hey, you're okay, alright? I'm here, you're safe. They heard and turned to see Naruto holding Bulma, and both of them felt for the woman. Bulma wasn't a fighter like them, she may be training now, but she hasn't fought before, nor faced the immense pressure of a superior opponent right in front of you, and that was as close as she even gotten to that just now, with the most intense and darkest power they had felt to date, hands down. With that and her power the lowest of the Earth fighters, she wasn't able to put up a resistance to the oppressive nature of the power, and became like this. It's okay, Bulma. I felt like this when I first started out against Vegeta. Gohan said as he walked over, patting Bulma's shoulder. Off to the side, Krillin had tapped behind his ear and the scouter unfolded to cover left eye as he went through some of the data it had. Really? Bulma asked from Naruto's arms. Gohan nodded. Yeah, it was like I was frozen in place, and I felt everything closing in on me. Like you want to run away just to escape it. Gohan said. He's right. My first big fight with that eyebrowless freak Zabuza, he did something similar with killing intent. It's hard to face at first, but you can adjust to it. It's only the feeling the power gives off, not the power itself. Alright? No need to worry. He spoke, running a hand through her hair. She smiled weakly up at him, nodding before she leaned up and kissed him softly on the lips. Gohan was just standing off to the side with a curious look. That's that ground grappling thing, right? He asked and both froze. Ground grappling? And then they shattered as they saw Krillin eyeing them with a smirk. When did this happen? He asked with a shit-eating grin. The two blushed and looked away, before finally separating. And none of your business, cue ball. Bulma shouted, flustered all to hell before she crossed her arms. Maybe. But we got bigger problems. Those guys are heading for another Dragon Ball. It feels like the same direction as a group of Namekians judging by the feel of the power. I'm going to go find out what's going on exactly. Good idea, I'll go too. You coming to Naruto? Gohan asked. No, I'll stay. However, he crossed his fingers and made a clone, going as sparingly on the chakra as possible. Take my clone with you. Use your scouters, they have a mall camera, right, Bulma? He asked, getting a nod from the brunette. Record it and keep in contact. Meanwhile, my other clones should be finished soon. He said, then nodded and took off. Why didn't you leave with them? She asked, and Naruto turned back to her, grabbing her and pulling her into a searing kiss. She melted into the move before they separated. I didn't want to leave you alone. This planet is going to be dangerous enough. And no offense against you, but you are strong enough to face off against some of the stronger powers here, not yet. And I'm not about to lose one of the people that mean the most to me in my life now. He told her, smiling and blushing, and she too blushed. Well, alright. If you say it like that. She muttered and he just chuckled. Anyway, let's get this place set up if we're going to be staying here a while. Might as well be comfortable enough. Thankfully, capsule tech rocks. I seriously gotta find out how to use Fuinjutsu for a house. He spoke and she giggled a bit. He stopped though, a rush of memories from the clone interrogating the Oni alien. Naruto? Bulma asked concerned. The clone just finished the interrogation. The news. It isn't so great. He spoke with a sigh. And what's the news? She asked a little worriedly. Well, this is the PTO we're dealing with, and the head honcho of it all is that freakishly powerful one. Named Frieza. Krillin, Gohan, Naruto C. The three ran fast and without pause. All three of them had their wire-framed scouters on with the screen showing the collection of 5 Dragon Balls. They got there. We have to hurry, Krillin said, and they pushed it a bit harder. However, before they got too much closer, they slowed and crested over a cliff, laying on the grass as they watched everything from below. It a village. The buildings look weird. Gohan muttered, looking through his green-colored eyeglass of his scouter. Those guys are down there. What are they doing? Krillin spoke, looking around through his yellow-tinted scouter. However, he noticed Naruto tense. You alright, bud? The other clone just finished the interrogation, he said, now having both boys' attention, but he motioned for them to keep watching down below. These guys are PTO. Planet Trade Organization. They're a part of the same group that Raditz was, purging planets and brokering them to buyers. That guy down there between those two, with the massive power, is one of the big bosses. His name is Frieza, a member of the Cold family that rules the PTO. They purge planets for profit and sport. Now Frieza is here because they picked up a transmission from Vegeta's scouter about the Dragon Balls and Namek. His scouter was bugged to keep track of him. Vegeta's apparently gone AWOL and betrayed these guys, doing his own thing now. What does he want? Krillin asked. Eternal life, same as Vegeta. Currently, there's only a token force with them of soldiers, and for good reason. Those two beside him are his direct subordinates, Dodoria and Zarbon. Not much is known about them except they are strong and answer only to Frieza. Though Zarbon is rumored to have a transformation that makes him even stronger. Damn! Like this wasn't bad enough. Are there any more Saiyans? No, far as they knew, Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz were the last of their kind. But that now includes Goku and any other possible survivors out there. Got it. Anything else? Krillin asked while Gohan was nervous over the whole deal. I got the location of their ship. A clone is heading there to try and scout the area, maybe find something useful. Though they're not going to do anything to get themselves noticed yet, the last thing we need is to draw attention to ourselves. He stated, and the other two nodded, before focusing on the ground again. Naruto saw through his orange-plated scouter the Namekians, who looked like Piccolo and Kami being herded out and surrounded. There were kids in there. Naruto gritted his teeth looking down there. Zoom and record, he told the two who nodded and tapped on their scouters. They watched the exchange between them, talking, Frieza making his threats and clarifications, lies and deception. Telling the story of the last villages he visited and killing the Namekians there. They each had to work to keep their power in check and anger under. All of a sudden the one called Zarbon attacked one, while another retaliated, but was killed in turn. Zarbon shortly returning to his master's side. However, before much else could happen aside from more conversation, younger Namekians who looked more like Piccolo arrived. They're suppressing their power. But they don't know that. They're like those Saiyans, they can't feel ki. Naruto stated, and the other two nodded. Looking down, he noticed the elder eyeing the main group for some reason. Then the fighting started and released their restraint to charge through the grunts as fodder. Suddenly the elder attacked and struck Dodoria's scouter, then jumped and took out the last two intact scouters, and Naruto smirked. Aiming for the scouters. Good, that means they can't track power anymore. Naruto spoke. However, in return, Dodoria was ordered to kill the three younger Namekians. Narrowing his eyes, he looked at the kids. The older one saw fit to bring the Dragon Ball out. Gohan. Don't get any funny ideas. Krillin spoke, and he looked to see him gritting his teeth. They're stronger than us, so there's not much we can do. Maybe so, but that doesn't mean there's nothing we can do. But before he could say anything more, Dodoria attacked the elder. Narrowing his eyes, he started gathering and charging his power. Naruto. What are you dash? They can't track us. No need to keep our power masked anymore. If we need to move, we move fast. We might not be able to fight them, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna let kids be killed like this. He spoke, standing. Gohan was as well, and Krillin followed. He folded his scouter back, as did the two. Get the kids out of here, pronto, he said, making two more clones. Suddenly Frieza shot a beam, but as he did, they two Namekian children were consumed in smoke, the beam piercing through one of them. Out of the other burst forth Naruto. Dodoria had his hands around the neck of the elder, and quirked an eyebrow before he snapped the elder's neck and beckoned Naruto forward with a smirk. Naruto growled but halted as he held his hands up to his eyes. Solar flare! He shouted, blasting those in the area with a burst of light. They shouted, blinded, but in the chaos, the clone rushed forward and grabbed one of the Dragon Balls on the ground before he took off into the sky. Moments earlier, the two Namekian children appeared in front of the two Earthlings and Elementian, surprised and nervous. No time, we got to move, my clone is buying us time. Grab the kids, we gotta go. He ordered, and Gohan and Krillin nodded, grabbing them and taking off, just having turned when a mass of light burned behind them. Stay low, my clone will give us a diversion if he's caught. He spoke, and they lowered down to the water, flying as fast as they could. They just barely heard the faint shouts of panic, and to chase the Dragon Ball. Attack clone. The clone gritted his teeth, knowing he'd been caught already. But they were following his flight trail, not him yet. His solar flare bought him enough time to get out of sight, but not his flight trail to fade. Looking down, he bit the bullet and dived straight into the water, using his power to fly through the water. Fighting the resistance of the water was draining his power. He was just a minimal power clone, a third of one at that. He wouldn't last, not long enough to get back, so he booked it far enough until he had no choice and popped. The Dragon Ball sank down, landing on the bottom of the ocean floor. To be retrieved later. Above and back a ways Dodoria was losing his shit and blowing up islands. Cave, Naruto's head snapped up, a smirk on his lips. The others are on their way back. The village was raided and Namekians killed, 2 kids were rescued and they're bringing them back. That's awful. So why are you smiling? She asked. Because my other clone managed to snag a Dragon Ball and drop it in the waters before he dispelled. We just kept a Dragon Ball out of their hands, he said with a smirk, and Bulma's eyes widened. Oh good. Any more news? One of the Namekians destroyed the rest of their scouters, so we don't have to worry about them as much. But there's still Vegeta out there, he's probably got a scouter. But I sense he's moving farther away, he stated. Good. The farther away we are from him, the better. She huffed as she went back to downloading the data off of the scouters to make an active translator function off any of the stored languages and any other useful information. Agreed, but if I had to guess, then I'd say one of my clones was bringing back the sealed pods while the other who went with him is probably out to scout Vegeta, he stated from the kitchen. While they were out, they had opened up a capsule house which fit just perfect in the blinked and did the math. You didn't make enough clones for everything you said they were doing, she said in her Naruto chuckle from the kitchen. My clones can make clones. Though their chakra supply is smaller doing this, it works in a pinch. It's how my clone rescued those kids while getting Gohan and Krillin out of there without notice. Replaced the kids with clones using Kawarimi and then a solar flare to blind everyone before he took off with the Dragon Ball. Sometimes it's better to not throw a fist at all, he called from the kitchen. Oh, now that is devious, she commented and then smirked. Ha! Bulma's genius comes through again, she called out, mostly to herself. She had just gotten through the garbled mess of coding they used for the scouters and got to the data she needed. Well, Bulma's genius is going to take a break here soon to enjoy a bowl of ramen as soon as the guys get back. He spoke from the kitchen, and she sat up thinking of their favorite addiction. Ikirakas, you know me so well. He spoke up and she smiled. This day just got better. The door opened and they saw another Naruto walk in, setting down 2 scrolls. Pod retrieval a success, boss, the clone said, and Naruto the original nodded. Have a rest, you've earned it, he told his clone, who nodded and dispelled. Naruto got the memories back and hummed. Yep, the clone did follow after Vegeta. I wonder about the scout clone though. Vegeta scout clone. The clone who'd taken it upon himself to scout while Vegeta didn't have much trouble finding him. He was painfully easy to find once he ought the purple alien. They had some kind of rivalry. Afterwards he followed in silence, his power suppressed to not be found. He picked up on most of Vegeta's plans, but not everything, not always close enough to hear him. He knew he intended on facing this Frieza, and he had a boost in power. The clone had stuck around to learn from other clones that one had dropped a Dragon Ball into the water, which uses the radar link on his scouter, showed him exactly where. But with Vegeta in the area, he didn't want to chance it yet. He managed to stay hidden to see Vegeta knock Dodoria into the water. Their conversation was about Frieza and Vegeta's dereliction of duty. But when they spoke of the scouters, he noticed how he was talking and acting like he didn't need the device. He watched then as he crushed the scouter, and while Dodoria panicked, Vegeta boasted his new ability to sense the power that got on Earth. Fucking shit, the clone thought to himself. So that blonde bastard was an Earthling, right? He was with you then. Motherfucker, Earthlings? Yeah, right, like they'd be here. If they were, they'd be at the top of my list to kill, he said, and Naruto calmed. He just dodged the bullet, but now he knew they had to keep their power down. He listened to them keep talking, and as they started to fight. Then he learned something very interesting. Saiyans get stronger the more they fight and survive injuries? And the more intense the struggle or severe the injury they survive and heal from, the greater the increase in power and ability. I'll have to keep that in mind. The rest of the encounter told him that Frieza destroyed the Saiyan homeworld, not a meteor like the Saiyan had thought. Frieza was afraid of the power Saiyans could possess. With that, he decided now was the best time to dispel. Cave. Naruto's head snapped up and he narrowed his eyes. Bulma, you're still suppressing your power, right? He asked, and she spoke an affirmative. Good. Vegeta learned how to sense ki. He heard a crash of something falling, then the chair being pushed away. Are you serious? She called out, running into the kitchen to look at her new kind of boyfriend. Very. My clone saw him talking and fighting with one of Frieza's goons, Dodoria. Aside from what we got, there are no more scouters on Namek, so we'll have to keep ours hidden. Hope the others are doing alright. Rescue group, drop to the ground now. Naruto ordered both Gohan and Krillin. Sup, man? Krillin asked, holding the kid cargo as they set down. Gohan was holding Dend, so they could fly as fast as possible. Vegeta knows how to sense ki now, he warned, looking up into the skies and trying to feel it out. No sudden surges of ki. They may have escaped his notice before he could sense them out. What? But how? Gohan stuttered out. No clue, but that's what the other clone found out when he scouted out Vegeta and watched him fight the pink-skinned one from before, Dodoria. He's dead now, and Vegeta's even stronger than he was before. Great, like it's hard enough catching a break. Don't be sure, I got a Dragon Ball sunk in the waters before the clone dispelled, so there'll be at least one away from Frieza and Vegeta we can find later. The clone spoke, heaving a sigh when he felt no incoming power. They really must have cut off the power just in enough time to avoid detection. Good going, bud. That'll keep them from making their wish early, Krillin said with a smile, Gohan nodding. Yes, thank you, for keeping at least one of them out of those bad men's hands. Den spoke and Naruto waved it off. Don't thank me quite yet. We're also wanting to use the Dragon Balls. What? Cargo spoke and Naruto sighed, but Krillin and Gohan picked up the slack in explaining about Earth's Dragon Balls and what happened, that they wanted to revive their friends who'd been killed. I see. At least you do not wish to use them for the power of immortality like that other did. The boy Cargo spoke. The two Namekian brothers relieved at what they heard, but to think you'd have Dragon Balls of your own. This Namek, Piccolo and Kami, they must be from before the storm we were told about to be sent from Namek. Den spoke and Naruto nodded. That seems the case. I think we're good to go on and make it back so long as we keep our power down. Which, speaking of, I'm about to dispel, so it's up to you guys. Keep your scouters hidden. They might not have a power red function, but they don't know that and will assume they do. There are radars and comms and we can't lose communication. Alright? He spoke. Alright then, later. He said before he poofed away in smoke, scaring the two Namekian brothers. Hey, it's okay, that's just a clone. Naruto can make copies of himself that can do everything he can, but they don't always last long. Right now he's using his clones to get information and learn what the bad guys are up to and where at. Krillin spoke to set the brothers at ease. Which, speaking of, didn't he say a clone went to scout of their ship? Gohan asked and got a nod from Krillin. Ship scout clone, how do I get myself into these messes? He muttered to himself as he wore a set of PTO armor and a helmet, walking around the ship like he actually belonged. So far it had gone okay. He'd managed to sneak on board without being noticed and found an open locker like an area where a set of armor and such was unchanged. He didn't want to waste the chakra on a Kaihen, much less a henge if he could help it. Now he was listening to the other soldiers, asking simple things, getting information. He learned a lot. They had medical machines for starters, something he'd tried to help Bulma get, not to mention the technology was impressive. I wonder. He had a thought before he found a hidden area and tapped his scouter, getting it to fold out and running through some of the features. Data upload to other active scouters. Worth a shot. He made a small clone audio test file and uploaded it to the other scouters. He waited and was surprised when he got a return ping of a received file. Clone audio test success. Proceed with your idea, you ballsy fucking clone you. The boss's voice came through and the clone smiled. Okay, so while the scouter was cloned, it still functions as intended and could upload and receive data. The clone then left the area and went to the main control room, intending to be the super spy. Call me 009. He mused to himself before disappearing into the main control room. Mindscape. Now this is how a fucking ninja is supposed to operate. Yes. He finally fucking gets it. Yami was whooping and hollering out from the central chamber so loud even the damn fox heard it. For his supposed dark side and true self, he's just as annoying as the outer one is. The fox huffed, covering his ears and trying to get back to sleep. Cave. Welcome back, guys, Naruto said, leaning up against the mouth of the cave waiting for them. Hey there, Naruto. Thanks for the save back there. Your clones are damn useful. Krillin said and saw the whole group make the last little distance back to the front of the cave, the two Namekian brothers amazed to see the same man from before in front of him again. They're only useful when I think to actually use them. Thankfully I've been polishing up on my ninja skills. So Den, Cargo, nice to meet you again, face to face without dispelling into smoke. Why don't you all come inside? I just made food and I got some jugs of cooled water for you too. Naruto. That's rude, they need to eat food. Actually, Krillin. Gohan interrupted. Naruto asked that while we were training with Piccolo. He only drank water, and Naruto said Kami did the same. So we're assuming Namekians only drink water? Gohan asked. That's right. Thank you for the thought though, but the water will do just fine for us. Huh. Well, okay then, Krillin spoke, a little stumped by that. They made their way inside where they found the table set. Beulah was on the phone against the wall. Go on and take a seat, I made food for each of us. You all get the standard, I made ramen for me and Bulma. Your water is the glasses on the table, he said, heading into the kitchen and bringing out the food. Setting it all down on the table, they all took a seat and then Bulma came over. Alright, so where to start? Naruto spoke, thinking of how to do this. Well, I got some good news. I just talked with Dad, Goku is healed up and on his way here. Bulma said, and the others smiled, that was the best news so far. Alright, that's God. Now let's explain everything so no one here is in the dark. Naruto spoke and they all nodded and started talking. 009 clone. Alright, it took a while, but I finally managed to get this thing ready for a data upload. The clone spoke as he pulled off his scouter and connected it to the large computer through a cable before he started the data streaming and hid the scouter. So long as it keeps streaming data, the data it does upload won't be lost. I just have to last long enough not to pop before it's done. Hey, you there, me? Naruto asked, turning around to see a crocodile-looking guy standing in the door. Yes, you newbie, it's time to go down to the mess for some grub. But I was told to stay on guard and, he started to play off but the guy just laughed it off. Kid, you got shafted? No one guards the core area rooms when we guard the halls leading to them. Now come on, we got to get some grub. The man said and the clone sighed, happy to dodge that bullet. Leaving the room, he supposed this would work best so long as the scouter stayed hidden. Though he did wonder what passed for food to a PTO soldier serving on Frieza's ship itself. Cave, so that's everything, nothing held back about why we're here, the current situation, who the bad guys are, all of it. Krillin finished and the others nodded, now everyone was on the same page. Just then they heard and Ping and Beulah got up and went over to workstation, her bowls of ramen devoured. Your clone is streaming data to me. It's marked Ship main computer data storage. She panicked slightly and quickly plugged her scouter into a computer she had to the side to start streaming the data to it. A little warning next time, Naruto. Bulma shouted. What's happening? Gohan asked and Naruto smirked. Seems my clone is being a super spy and downloading everything off of the main computer of the bad guy's ship. He said with no shortage of pride. Well, I'll be the dash. Everyone felt it. They all got up and ran outside where they focused on the feeling of vanishing key signatures. On by one they were just fading. Vegeta! Krillin gritted his teeth, and the others nodded. No. Our people. I know that village. Cargo stuttered out. Denda grabbed his shoulder and looked at him. After a few moments, Cargo nodded and Den stepped forward. Please. We have a way. We'll take you to Grand Elder Guru. He is the oldest of our people and father to each of us. He'll know what to do. You've told us your reason for being here, and we understand you, but please help us. Dean pleaded and the others looked at each other before they nodded. Alight, we will, Krillin said and the others agreed, but then a thought struck Bulma. Wait. Father to you all? What does that mean? She asked. Well, Elder Guru has reseeded the Namek people as we are today. I'm his 108th child, and I'm his 109th. Cargo spoke a bit more excitedly, the more energetic of the pair. You said father, right? So what about the mother? She asked. Ugh. Mother? Cargo asked. Yeah, you know. A female parent like your father. What's a female? Cargo asked, looking at his older brother who shrugged. There's no other kind of people on this planet who are different to you, and no. Just us, we're all like Elder Guru. No women. What a boring planet. Bulma voiced, but then squeaked when she felt a very familiar sensation. If you're bored we can take care of that, you know, Naruto said with a teasing smirk into Bulma's ear as she stood behind her, a hand on her rear, but his breath and her neck may have won more than his hand did. Heh heh heh. The woman sheepishly giggled to herself, a blush on her cheeks. Y'all gonna do that ground grappling thing again? Gohan asked and the kinda couple just face faulted. Ground grappling? Dend and Cargo asked together. Yeah, they did it while they were training. Bulma had her legs around him and trying to hold him really tight, but her legs were around his waist, and they had their hands on each other's bodies like their chests and but trying to get control, but neither would let go, they were holding so tight. Their faces were really close to and doing something. Both Naruto and Bulma were mortified hearing this described, turning an atomic blush easily, and trying to scramble up from the ground. Meanwhile, Krillin was holding his gut and biting his lip, trying so damn hard not to laugh, a hand against the rock face to support himself from falling as he kept listening and watching. Alright, that's enough of that I think, Bulma said, her blue hair a perfect contrast to her red face. Not that blonde was much better though, why yeah. Anyway, Naruto took a breath. We should This, Grand Elder Guru, right? Yes. If everything you said and felt is true, then there's not a lot of us left on Namek. But they're hunting for the Dragon Balls. This Grand Elder Guru, does he have one of the Dragon Balls? Krillin asked. Yes, he does, Cargo spoke up, and then we'll have to warn him. Frieza's men may not have any scouters, but Vegeta can sense ki now, so Guru isn't safe. Then we have to hurry. Both brothers shouted and the rest nodded. Bulma, is the download finished? Naruto asked, and Bulma remembered about that. She headed inside and checked, finding the process complete. She unhooked her scouter and replaced it to her ear, where it folded back. Storing everything away, she came back out. It's done all right. What are you thinking, Naruto? She asked. I'm thinking we pack up and I'll go. It's not exactly safe to be separated, and while we may be a bigger target together, we'll stand a better chance against Vegeta together. Not only that, but we hold hidden cards with the pods, the Dragon Ball in the water, and information we've gathered. He said. You sure staying together will be better? It's a 30-day walk. Dean said, and the others gulped a bit. That's a far way to go. To get there fast we'd have to fly. Gohan said, doing a quick bit of math in his head. Okay, maybe it's not the better idea then if it's that far. Trying to suppress our collective power and fly fast enough to matter as a group. Alright, who's going to go then? Naruto asked. I know the way best of the two of us, Den spoke, and Cargo nodding in agreement. I'll follow him. We have our scouters so we can stay in contact. Naruto, I'd feel better with you here instead. You're the strongest of us right now, and if comes down to it, I'd rather you be here to fight, alright? Got it. Let us know by scouter when you get there. If he has a Dragon Ball, that should help lead you to him. He stated, and they all nodded. Den and Krillin took off while Naruto hung back. Then his eyes clouded and he snapped his head to the left. Naruto? Bulma asked. My last clone on the ship just dispelled. That data package he sent has a lot of stuff. Stuff like what? She asked as they headed back inside. Everything. Schematics of various pieces of technology, including a healing tank of some kind, ship designs, weaponry, you name it, it's there. Plus it seems like the collective languages of the races that make up the PTO, and coordinates of many planets. He said, and she smiled. You know just what kind of presents to get a Burl, Naruto. I'll have to try my best to get you a good present too. She said with a smirk that made him blush slightly. As sure. Well, let's get inside and wait for them to get back. He said, and they did just that. Found out too that PTO soldiers eat slop about the same as grunts in any other army too. That got a few rounds of laughs. He stopped though when he felt a few sources of ki on the move. Feel that? He asked. Yeah. Who is that one? Bulma asked. Feels like that Zarbon guy, the one who's rumored to have a transformation. Naruto spoke, and Gohan remembered that guy now and nodded. So what are we going to do? Bulma asked, but Naruto shook his head. Aside from giving Krillin a heads up. Nothing. He said as he gave a tap to the area behind his ear, and the orange eyeglass scouter folded out over his eye. He made a few commands and pulled Krillin up on comms. Yo. You there, Krillin? Krillin and Dend, loud and clear. Sup? He asked. He waited a few moments and sighed. Zarbon, huh, I'll keep that in mind. By the way, your promise for a wingman is still good, right? He asked. Den just looked down curiously. I know the dating scene on Namek is dry. I meant when we get back to Earth. I would like to have a girlfriend before I die sometime or another. I'm already banking on a miracle, and we're screwed if shit hits the fan before we're ready. Granted, we could leave, but then we can't make our wish. Whether we have a ship or not, unless we get our wish, this might be our only chance. Look, doesn't matter, so long as we can keep the Dragon Balls safe until Goku gets here to help deal with Vegeta and the others, then we can make our wish and hopefully fix things. Alright. Now let's. He felt a power and panicked. Dend. Down. He and the Namekian child dropped to the ground where they hid, but then grew confused. That was Vegeta's power, but why'd it change directions? He for sure felt us. So why? There's another large key further that way, and he's heading for it. What? Take the chance to head on to Guru's while he's distracted? He called into the scouter, and then nodded. Right. I'll keep in touch. He pressed the back of the scouter, and it folded back. Come on, Dend, we gotta go while we have the chance. He said, and the two took off. They kept flying for a good long while until the key practically fitting to burst, and then the blasts of ki started lighting up the sky. That's crazy. Those two must really be going at it. He called, but then a thought occurred and he grabbed Dend, activating his scouter to the radar function. Dend, which way? He asked, and Dend pointed, and he fixed it on the Dragon Ball right in that direction. We gotta move, hang on. He spoke and booked it for all he had. cave. Naruto and the others were spectating through ki, sensing what was happening, and while the explosions ended some time ago, they could feel the mass hurry of ki that was Krillin on the move, but also Vegeta's near non-existent ki, and then Zarbon's moving back and forth, then Vegeta moving with him, likely half dead if what they were sensing is right, probably going to interrogate him on where the Dragon Ball from the village he found is, Naruto stated, and Gohan and Cargo shuddered at the thought. Hey guys! I just finished sending all of the data to my dad back on Earth. He's taking all of it, and that old Namek ship to see what he can do with it all. Bulma said, trying to pass on some good news. That's pretty good, that'll all help for sure when we get back. Yep, they landed. Hopefully, Guru can help. Naruto said, opening his eyes as he sighed. He will. I know he will. Cargo said. Gohan and Naruto looked at each other, having a different thought, but giving the benefit of the doubt. They spent a little while inside, where Bulma fixed up the disassembled the scouters and gotten everything she wanted from it, making a nice little software upgrade for their own scouters. They generally just tried to do anything to stay busy until Krillin pinged them shortly after they felt his power spike. Ugh, yeah, Krillin, Gohan spoke into his scouter. Bulma and Naruto were listening in on their own as well. Wait, you mean he wants us to protect the Dragon Ball, and he has a way to make us all stronger so we can protect it? Bulma asked again and heard an affirmative from the bald fighter. Well, be there. We'll use your scouter to track you, alright, just stay put. Bulma said, heading back inside and getting her stuff and packing away the house and everything before she came back out. The scouters can track one another? Naruto asked. They can now. She responded immediately, and Naruto wasn't sure how to feel about that. Now, dear boyfriend of mine. Carry me? She spoke with a puppy dog pout. He was trying to resist, he really was. But she had just let her hair out so it curled up and around her shoulders and face, and just really. Come on. Resistance was futile. He made a clone who stood by for a second. She giggled as she climbed up onto his back. She could fly on her own, but riding was just better sometimes. It's only too bad bridal style carry is a little awkward in serious flight. Alright, let's fly hard and fast. You go on and find the other Dragon Ball while we have the opportunity. Alright. He spoke to his clone who nodded and took off in full aura-formed flight toward the Dragon Ball. Let's go, Naruto spoke, and the rest of them booked it for Gurus, using the scouters to locate Krillin and follow his signal. Leaving their spot, they had soon passed the range of sensing they had grown used to, and wouldn't sense the impending escape of Vegeta. Clone, let's see. There are 4 Dragon Ball readings over there. Obviously Frieza. That one over yonder is Krillin, Dend, and Guru. So the last 2 are the one I sank, and the one Vegeta got. The clone blinked and was thinking for a moment before he smirked. I don't think he'll mind too much if I borrow it. Snickering to himself, the clone decided on his plan to grab both of the vagrant globes, changed course just slightly. The clone tapped his scouter a few times, accessing a few files before he smirked and pressed another button behind his ear on the interface panel hidden behind the ear of the unfolded device. Dragon, dragon, rock the dragon, he started to sing with the music playing in his ear. The clone finally reached the village and grimaced at the sight. Coming down, he looked to all of the Namekian bodies and slumped. I'm sorry I can't give you all a proper burial right now. But hopefully, in a few days we won't have to. He told them before he found the source and saw it in the water. Sighing, he tapped the scouter to fold it away. It was waterproof, but it retained water where it folded if open, so it was a pain in the ass when it dripped in the ear. Diving into the water, the clone searched throughout the water before he saw a glint and found the ball. He smirked before he grabbed it and resurfaced, coming back to land. And what do we have here? Naruto froze at the voice, looking up to see Vegeta standing there, smirking at him. So it was you, the blonde bastard Dodoria spat off about. Fancy meeting you here, but I believe you have something I want. Vegeta spoke, motioning for him to give him the ball. Why should I give it to you in the first place? For all I know, this thing is what's keeping me alive. He said. Heh, of that you'd be right. But we both know it's only a hassle to take it from you, not a hard one. But you can save me a headache by just giving it to me. In return, I won't kill you for it. Naruto kept his outer appearance calm while he thought a moment. He had to keep him talking. He could still just barely sense himself, purely out of the connection between original and clone, and wanted them to get farther away. Why are you doing all this? I know back on Earth you said you wanted eternal life. But why? I've heard it plenty enough be described as a curse by people smarter than me. That eventually everything loses its appeal, its meaning, and all value. Why do that to yourself? He asked. Heh, that's beyond your reasoning, boy. Those smarter people are fools, they think but have no concept of action, obviously. But it's not the eternal quality I desire most, but the unkillable. You can't conquer that which you can't kill. Vegeta spoke, holding out his hand. Now the ball. He restated. He tossed the ball over and stood to his full height. If that's the case, then just wish for invulnerability. Same fucking difference, and no one can kill you until you die of old age. Probably. Much more useful to soldiers like ourselves. He stated, seeing what he can probe and get out of him. A soldier? He spoke, a bit curious now. Trained since I was 6 in my village. All of us orphans, if we aren't adopted by the age of 6, are inducted into the military academy to be of use to the village. Which was true. This was how orphans could make their own way in the village with a support structure like a family. A child soldier, well, small universe then, isn't it? He mused mirthfully. So what, they trained a bunch of brats to be cannon fodder. He smirked smugly. Assassins, actually. Shadow warriors, you might call it. He spoke, playing it up a bit. Okay, a lot. When he thought of what a shinobi was supposed to have skill in, and the real-life examples he had, it may as well be heaven and earth now that he looked back on it. He guessed the flashy stuff was for younger ninja who hadn't accepted yet they are adults and had to kill, allowed to live a fantasy a while before they are dragged into the shadows. Like he now was, acting like a proper ninja, could have fooled me back on Earth. Lots of in-your-face and not-so-subtle actions. Pretty shitty for a child soldier-trained assassin. He barked with a laugh as he insulted the blonde. I'll admit, I didn't stick to my strengths back then. I got lost in the glamour of being an in-your-face fighter, rather than what I trained as. That fight was the reality check I needed. I know better now. Back then, I should have killed Nappa as soon as you two sat down and dealt you as bad a mortal wound as I could, like my training dictated I should. He stated ominously, left hand drifting to the saya of his katana, setting his hand on the saya, ready to hold the sheath of the weapon, the saya, to draw the blade free. You should have. Maybe your weak friends might still be alive. But then again, I'd have been the deal with all of you then, and I wouldn't have played around. He stated, maybe, but that's all in the past. This is the here and now, indeed. A question then, O great assassin. No shortage of sarcasm, and while a vein throbbed in his head, he reined in the desire to kill him. If you were ordered to kill a superior opponent, how would you do it? Give me a satisfying answer, and I may just give something in return. He stated. Despite knowing that was probably bullshit, he still answered after some thought. Truthfully, poison is one of the better ways to kill someone who you can't fight directly. If they are secure in their power and arrogant in their position especially. As for the details of the act, it depends on if it's a quick act, or you can take your time. Over time you can poison slowly, make it look like a sickness. Quickly, I'd say 2-part poison, harmless on their own, but together, they combine to become a virulent poison in the body. Like one in everyone's drink, then the other in their food. Then again, contact poisons also work effectively. There's not much training you can do to resist all known poisons. Doesn't matter how strong you are if you're killed from the inside. He stated, well, I didn't expect you to actually have an answer for me or one that made much sense. I guess I don't give the proper credit then, assassin. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position where I can use poison, nor will I resort to such a method as a Saiyan warrior. He stated, and Naruto just shrugged. You asked, I told Saiyan? He spoke back in the same form of address. So what happens now? He asked. Well now, I won't kill you for trying to take my Dragon Ball. He stated, raising his hand at him. I kill you because you were the one who cut my tail off. He spoke, forming a ki blast and firing it at him. Naruto reacted quickly and drew his sword in an attempt to cut the ki blast, but then something different happened. Rather than producing a cutting force, the ki blast was suddenly met with a blue-tinted barrier that the blast exploded against. What the? He spoke, the barrier falling away now. Humph, cheap trick, try this. He spoke, tossing up the Dragon Ball and forming a ki wave attack. Disappear! He hollered, firing the blast at the clone, who instead took it and smirked. Disappear indeed. The clone poofed without any evidence to the wiser. That was satisfying, Vegeta spoke, catching the Dragon Ball and walking off before he took to the air. Flying group. Naruto's eyes glazed over before he blinked and grimaced. Slow it down. Vegeta is up and around. He called and Gohan, who was carrying cargo, immediately slowed and they stuck at a slower pace. Doesn't that guy ever quit? Bulma asked herself, but Naruto just shrugged. Can't say. But he got his hands on the Dragon Ball he sunk near the village he raided. Thankfully the other one I sunk is still safe. He spoke at the other side. Bastard also thinks I'm dead. He blasted my clone all to hell. So maybe we can use that against him if it comes down to it, he suggested, giving the others something to think about, but then he looked at his sword on his hip. And just what did you do back there? Yajirobe never said you had powers and I know it wasn't my power. I'll figure that out later. Anyway, let's keep going. You, Sanuvabich. He whined, turning his head as he saw Zarbon of all beings fast approaching. Thinking of something real quick, he made a decision. Get to the ground. We can't outrun him. He told Gohan and down they went. Naruto, what are we doing? This guy is too strong for us. Bulma whispered into his ear. I know, but we aren't fast enough to outrun him. So we'll just have to find another way. You're that blonde that got the drop on us with that light flash technique and ran off with the Dragon Ball. I'll see you return it now. He ordered. He didn't look pleased at all. In fact, he looked pissed. Naruto wondered just what he could do since he felt his power clearly before when he fought Vegeta. What was he going to do? Thanks a ton for watching, Shinobi Squad. I hope you had as much fun as I did putting this epic what if together. If you're ready for part 2 and beyond, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a single twist in the story. Drop your thoughts, theories, or even wild ideas in the comments. I read every single one. And hey, if you're craving more awesome Naruto content, go check out the other videos on the channel. I've got plenty of heat waiting for you. Until next time, stay sharp, stay awesome, and remember, even a shadow clone needs love. Peace out, Shinobi.